16 years, I had been consulting top retail brands in Pakistan for their growth hacking and future proofing. So today we will be talking about e-commerce opportunities, and all the good things in Pakistan happening right now. We have wonderful guests, actually masters. From my perspective, I had been consulting brands for their growth hacking in e-commerce since last couple of years, and we have achieved excellent results. I will also try to discuss these opportunities and what are the possibilities for, especially in terms of global investments. So I would like to start with Mr. Umar Kamar, CEO ELO. Over what changes do you see in the whole ecosystem, being one of the early, like in fact, like pioneers in e-commerce in Pakistan?
First of all, I would like to thank everybody here, Ijad Labs and the university for setting up a event. Coming back to the question, I think the technology has evolved quite a lot. The whole country has kind of diverted from generally COD model to now more digital payments coming in. For example, when we started off in 2013, there was zero credit card companies operating. The most default model of payment was cash on delivery. Whereas now we can easily say that 10% of the transactions are actually credit card. And then with the BNPL coming in, the installment payments, I see another increase in digital payments. And there's huge maturity in the public when it comes to buying online, whereas earlier on, a lot of people didn't think it was real, that they're not going to get the product which they ordered, that it's going to be a fraud. So, people have started trusting e-commerce now. So that is a big change. And overall, since Corona happened, I see a huge expansion in e-commerce. Everybody is more comfortable buying in because Corona allowed people to shop online, give them a taste of what they can get without getting out of their houses, and the sales have increased, and people are more and more people are getting buying online. Another point I would like to raise is that we being one of the youngest population in the world and having a great smartphone penetration, it has made it easier to buy online. So
Yeah.
main focus is mobile applications and digital payments, which I see are the two major improvements since we started back in 2013.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's a huge opportunity actually, because as per the recent reports, Pakistan has crossed over 55% of internet penetration. So with more and more smartphones and internet penetration, I think we like our whole landscape is going to be wider every day. So I would ask Mr. Ans, CEO Swift Logistics, what are the preps, as we heard that like we are growing rapidly in e-commerce. So from the logistics standpoint, what are the preps happening from your end?
Uh, Thank you for giving this opportunity, sitting with two basically great e-commerce players in the market. So I'll tell you a little bit about Swift. We started Swift at a very, I don't know, it was blessing in disguise. Like we started 2 months before COVID. And as Umar was saying, we saw these pain points that one, yes, this e-commerce penetration was growing, but that trust factor was still there. That should we start ordering online? Should we, sometimes a lot of the times in Pakistan, people order online, but they don't get what they've ordered.
Yeah.
So that's why they were reluctant of paying before, online. They didn't want to pay online. Everybody was, anybody and everybody wanted cash on delivery. So when we entered, we figured out that there are, and I don't know if you guys would agree to it or not, but a lot of e-commerce players, they don't have access to that technology because they're more focused on building their brands, marketing, sales, and operations of their existing warehouses. And they were not another focus, which was, I think, it was not there. That was access to banks and access to merchant accounts and access to Easy Pesa and Jazz Cash. Probably the top 100 could do it, but then there are a lot of mom and pop stores who couldn't. So that's what we did. We integrated with anybody and everybody in payments, which so now what we did that even if you didn't pay online as a consumer, our riders carry card machines. So if you want to pay through card at your doorstep, you can still do that. If you want to pay through Easy Paisa, Dash Cash, or rider carry QR codes, you can still do that. One that. Second, we, as I said, we just launched 2 3 months before COVID, and we realized that now that we're sitting on you know uh, tons of data because we work with more than 1,000 retailers, and so we've seen the growth probably 6x or 7x,
Wow.
which is the brands have grown themselves.
And that's like within last
That's like
one and a
within
half year.
19 months.
That's
Yeah.
excellent. Like we should bang on this.
And
Brilliant.
as they were growing, we realized that what lacks with them and what hinders their growth is uh, good infrastructure for logistics, and good technology-backed logistics, which is they should know where their parcels are. They should know when am I going to get that money back. They should know how many parcels are actually going to come back to me. They should know where my parcel is right at there at that time.
Yeah.
So and I'll tell you a little more about it. Before starting Swift, we went to the courier companies, the conventional ones which were there, and we said we'll build tech for you and let's merge and do it together. But they were so reluctant of doing it that we ended up building Swift, and we were like, we'll do it ourselves. So, and I guess we work with ELO already. Probably he can explain better than what we do for that.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great to hear. And I always say that like building a big business is not offering one service. There has to be a lot of integration. Building brand is not just building a logo and advertising. It's designing a whole experience across the 360 touch points of the consumer. Excellent. Good to know about that. So Salman, CEO Back Gallery, fashion being the most popular category of e-commerce in Pakistan, what is your take on the potential? Will it bloat anywhere soon, or you see growth potential in coming years, and how much growth do you see? Because as a consumer or being from the fashion industry, I see a lot of e-commerce already touching the upper parts in e-commerce from the fashion perspective, especially like in the mainstream tiers. But we see a lot of gap from middle tier and smaller tier businesses. So, what is your take regarding the potential?
Thank you so much. Firstly, I would like to congratulate Arzish and team for putting up such a nice show. So good job, keep it up. Secondly, coming to the question, you're absolutely right that normally if you see the global platforms or global scenario, fashion and apparel is normally number two in the ranking after
Okay.
electronics. Pakistan, this segment is already quite big. So if have to quote the numbers, the e-commerce contribution of fashion and beauty is more than $500 million already.
Wow.
Because we don't have a really documented economy, so it sometimes doesn't come very strong across the board. But we do expect that if we talk about the next 10 years, between 40 to 50% of the category beauty and fashion will be sold through e-commerce, which is very much in line with the global standards. Right now, US is between 40 to 42. Europe
Okay.
is somewhere close to that. We are most probably 5 6% or even less. India is 12% already. So this is a segment which is going to grow very fast. Already we see the contributions from the big brands. So I think it has a lot of potential. I think one thing which is happening, which is helping the economy is job creation, which will come from this segment. I think the people
Yeah.
in this panel and the next panel has created more than 1,000 to 1,500 jobs in the last 2 years alone, which is I think significant. So it has a lot of potential. I think the consumer is maturing a lot, as these people have already explained. I'm not going to go into the details, but we see a lot of maturity in the consumer side. I think the payment partners are also helping a lot to digitize the overall segments, and I think the offering of variety, because earlier now we everybody is realizing that variety is very important. So if you see last 1.5 year, there is not one fashion brand who has not built the e-commerce department of the company, which
Exactly.
was not the case earlier. So
Yeah.
last 18 months, I think we all will agree that we have absolute shortage of talent in that area, because there are only few people who are experienced, and everybody wants to grab them because everybody
Exactly.
is going in that area.
Yeah.
So from all angles, I think it's a positive scenario. In terms of growth, I see it doubling every year for the next 2 3 years at least, and then it might come down to 50 60%. But it all depends how much we as players push, and I think there has to be some work with the government on the consumer protection and the platform protection also, because so that the frauds and everything keeps under control. So we need to develop some guidelines in that area which doesn't exist today. So that will be my take.
Okay. Absolutely fantastic. You rightly said that like now there is a lot of awareness. I remember like by 2017, 18, whenever as a consultant I would consult even top of the line businesses in Pakistan. You still needed to convince them for the e-commerce and the potential of e-commerce. But now we have crossed that stage, mashallah. So Umar, I remember last time we had a discussion at a dinner and you mentioned the importance of collaborations. So I built a common question for everyone. What kind of collaborations do you think that we need to build as a nation, as a businesses of a nation, which actually unfortunately lacks this culture? So how much you emphasize on the possibilities and the need for collaborations?
I remember that dinner very well, and I was talking to you that a lot of the times the people have this perception that they don't want to work together. It's kind of like a sign of weakness or something. But I believe that partnering and learning from others is going to help the country. It's going to help you. It's going to help the company which you work for, uh, and it always brings benefits. So recently we partnered with Park Wheels, which is the biggest auto company, I would say, or auto trader in the country. And we started developing their merchandise. We did cross advertisement. They advertising us, we advertising them, and the collaboration has been a runaway success. Like we sold out the entire inventory within 10 days. So
Wonderful.
I believe like exploring those collaborations is very important. Uh, Having an eye, having an ear, and learning from others is very important. And what I've what I believe is that you need to help each other out. If you're not going to help each other out, you're not going to improve yourself, because you always learn something with collaboration. So I think being very positive is important.
Exactly. Wonderful. Answas, what will be your take on collaborations?
I think competition is great to some extent. Healthy competition is always great, but you can't beat collaborations. And when you collaborate with, that's the definition of a word itself. Collaborate means you two people are going to sit together, think about something, create a win-win situation, and stop thinking about competition for a while. So, and it's not within the competition. It's sometimes you collaborate. You should collaborate outside, like Umar just said, that Park Wheels has nothing to do with apparel, what he does,
Yeah.
and but they still can collaborate. So, and we also tried doing it, and we still try doing it every time. And in fact, Umar would second it that our marketing department is always on the run and always looking for retail, different retail brands and different e-commerce platforms. That what we deliver. So you've got a customer base of your own self, and then we've got a customer base who we deliver 4,000 vendors. Like if you're doing a million parcels, delivering a million parcels in a month, that means we know a million people that you can reach probably, right? We're not going to leak the data, of course, but we can collaborate at some point. We just collaborated with this October is a breast cancer month in all around the world, and that was Pinktober in Pakistan as well. So we just collaborated with them and said, you wanted to spread more awareness about it, just put a sticker on our every parcel. You can just put a sticker on it, and it goes to a million people in a month's time. And that's one simple small collaboration, which was a CSR bite, very small collaboration. We can, and by on this platform, I would love if you guys or all the e-commerce platforms, we are very much open for any kind of collaboration where we can create that win-win, where we can give something to your customers, you can give something to our customers, we can create more awareness about your product, you can create more awareness about my product. And I'm a firm believer that cross-selling is the best thing you can do. And as you said that you belong to that growth hacking process, in growth hacking, the first thing is cross-selling.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hinder your thing, which is, let's say if Umar is in apparel, I'm not going to go to another apparel brand and say that you want to sell his product and I'm going to sell yours. Probably, like he said, he went to Park Beats, which is entirely a different industry. Automobile has nothing to do with apparel, but still they can sell so many things that they do. And they can advertise because they've got a big platform, which is good for advertisement. Why not? ELO should go out and get that advertisement opportunity. So
Exactly.
Sitting here, I have a collaboration for you. We have been discussing this opportunity with Leopards for like many years, and they're having like offices around 5,000 or something like that across the country. I always wanted to, because e-commerce is a growing sector, but the biggest problem is that a lot of people who are not educated cannot order online. They can use TikTok, they have smartphones, but they cannot order online. So we always talk to them about, why don't you put up a computer with an ELO website? Somebody comes in, wants to book a parcel, but wants to buy clothes at a very good price. They can go use that computer, or somebody can tell them, you can buy it from here. And that is kind of a collaboration I want. Like feeding in your customers with our product, something like that.
Let's do it.
There's a like sea of opportunities. I'm sure.
You've got a collaboration right there.
Exactly. That's so fantastic. So Salman, what do you think? Like fashion being a very competitive industry, having literally a lot of hundreds of brands competing each other. What do you think? Like as a fashion portal, what kind of collaborations can we build?
But you can do a lot. I personally believe that.
Is it working? Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. So to me, collaboration is actually everything because it's more of a mindset. Because when you are into competitive mindset, you go compete. When you are into collaborative mindset, you try to build things, you try to develop policies for the growth of the industry or whatever you want to call. So we have built the platform completely based on collaborations, whether it is influencer marketing. So we work with more than 500 influencers in the country. We collaborate with them. They grow, we grow. We work with the brands. The brands who had e-commerce contribution of less than 5%, today it's sitting at 10 to 12%. So again, collaboration. Payment partners, significant collaborations with them to increase the digital payments. It was when we started, it was less than 1%, 2%. Now it's sitting at almost 14, 15%. So this is how we have built the platform. And I think without collaboration, you cannot succeed. It's because it's mindset.
Yeah.
So that's what we have tried. And in fashion, of course, with all these brands, many of them have their own platforms. So it's sometimes challenging because you're competing with them also. We always talk to them that you're selling one product. We're going to be selling 25,000 products. So the scale of traffic which we will have, yes, there will be some kind of cannibalization. But the end of the day, the end result is positive. Because if today you're selling 10 units, most probably you'll end up selling 15. So, so that's how we have been collaborating with most of the brands. We work with more than 1,500 brands who have their own e-commerce also. So that's again to me a collaboration. It's purely mindset.
Brilliant, brilliant. Adding to collaborations, I would like to mention another word over here. Most probably, most of the people in the hall, I'm not sure that if you ever heard about that. That's called co-opetition. So co-opetition is the next level of collaboration. As Pakistani, as a good nation, we can actually build a lot of opportunities on co-opetition, because the idea is working with your competitors. If you're spending 10 rupees on one thing, just collaborate with your brother. Despite of any kind of competition, you will be spending 5 rupees. So each of you will be saving 5 rupees, just investing on the common elements of your business. So we can always explore opportunities about that. So there is another common question for all of you from e-commerce perspective. What kind of opportunities do you see in venture capitalism, investing in Pakistani e-commerce, being we all know that to move on to the next steps to scale it to another level, we all need VC funding or any kind of funding. So from the investment perspective, particularly e-commerce, what do you think that what are the opportunities for investors?
As we have all seen that Pakistan has been the record funding this year, uh, the possibilities are endless. Whereas I still want to tell you that ELO is a bootstrapped company. We started off with just a two-person company back in 2013. Now we are about 130, 140 people with two offices, one in Faisalabad and one in Lahore. I believe with the VC funding, it can definitely help us increase with the with growing the audience, because we want, like, when it comes to ELO, with the VC money, we would like to take this concept abroad. Maybe go to Bangladesh, go to Cambodia, and do the similar thing which we are doing in Pakistan. Because we have developed the business model here. We work with about 150, 200 factories across Pakistan, and having a track record like this, it would be easy for us to attract investors and replicate the same business model abroad. So I think that is very doable, scalable, and with the track record we have, we can do that. But
Wonderful.
apart from that, I think there are so many opportunities with e-commerce that if you come up with a great idea, you'll definitely get some money and scale up.
Wonderful. Ans, can you share some kind of statistics to attract the investors, that what kind of growth rate you have seen among your 1 million parcels distributing every month, and number of clients that you're just a like newborn logistic company sort of. So the way you are growing, so what kind of statistics would you like to share with, especially with foreign investors, that like which can convince them enough to start investing in e-commerce domain in Pakistan? Because currently most of them are investing more in the apps and more in like different domains, not particularly in e-commerce. There is a e-commerce investment share, but that's too small right now. So any statistics that you can share?
Like I can share exact statistics because we've just raised money.
Wow, congratulations for that.
We, we raised $25 million by the beginning of this year.
Wonderful.
And we're going to raise $100 million. That's going to be the highest ever raised in Pakistan.
Excellent.
Probably by December. And it's all foreign investors. One key thing which I've seen it while starting a company from 10 people, probably 10, 15 riders, 2,000-3,000 orders of parcels in a month, and taking it to 1 million parcels, more than 1 million parcels, a team size of 270 something plus 2,000 riders. And we started from one city, grown up to 55 cities, and we're still growing. What I've seen is that basic thing that every foreign investor looks at is, and I think probably back galleries raise money as well, I think Salman will agree, is the team. They don't care about the business. Sometimes they do care about the business idea. They do care about the market size. They do care about whatever the business model is, and the competition sometimes. But what bothers them to put money in your business is the team, is the way you are going to execute. Because let's say if I talk about logistics, we are not doing anything new. It's the same that Leopard's TCS, who've been in Pakistan from 25, 30 years, they've been doing it. we just techified it. We just figured out that what are the pain points that they were not able to solve. Probably they could be solved by just good technology, or maybe just the way they're executing. Let's do it in a different way. So another great thing we did that we didn't hire, probably we just hired a few now, but to begin with, we didn't hire anybody from the logistics industry. Because if you wanted to do something different, the most difficult thing I've seen around globe is to make people unlearn things.
Yeah,
So if
exactly.
somebody is coming from the existing logistics industry, he's going to probably he'll tell us the same thing that they've been doing past 25
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
and we didn't want to do it. So so team is the key thing. And yes, e-commerce penetration, that's probably has grown, and which I guess both of these guys can tell you better. But as we've raised money because e-commerce penetration has grown. 4G penetration has grown, as you just told the numbers yourself. And when 4G penetration has grown, the infrastructure is also growing. And it's the median age is 22 in Pakistan. So every 5 years, there are kids that are turning 18. That means and which is like 20% of your population is turning 18 every 5 years. And that means that you've got customers who are Gen Z, who are impulsive buyers, and they are so big in numbers that probably Pakistan is one of the hottest market right now. And as Umar said, and as Salman said, the e-commerce penetration has gone. It's not touching the sky, but for us, it is right now. And that's how all the foreign investors look at it. And as I've told you earlier, that we've seen people, brands, mom and pop stores, brands like Sapphire Khadi, who are the biggest brands, top 100, mid-tier, the small brands which are just operating from Facebook pages or Instagram. They've got the website and apps 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But those brands have grown 6x. And that 6x growth was just in 18 months.
Exactly.
So we are a 19-month-old company. We've seen it in 18 months, 6x growth, which is huge. And I've also seen the average basket size, and I think you guys would agree, it has also grown since COVID came in. Because either the average size for some brands has grown, or the frequent ordering has grown.
Yeah.
And another great thing happened that uh, people who were actually reluctant of going online and ordering stuff and then believing that it's going to actually come and then it's actually going to be a real product, as Salman said, that I don't think so there's any brand who doesn't have an e-commerce itself, an
Absolutely.
e-commerce manager.
There are like more than 125,000 Facebook groups selling products online without an e-commerce platform, and everyone is using logistics for sure. So there's a huge opportunity from that perspective. So Salman, what would you like to add into?
I think e-commerce is a space which can change economies. We have many examples of e-commerce globally which has done that, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Alibaba, whether it's Flipkart in India, whether it is Trendyol in Turkey where we're sitting. So I think it's a space which is massive, and if VCs are serious in this space, it can create a lot of jobs. It can help the economy, and I think it's the people like us who need to sell it right. Maybe we're not selling it enough to the VCs, but once they come in, it will help us to penetrate fast. It will just speed up the process 5x. Just what COVID did.
Yeah.
If you have the money right now, it's going to just speed up the process. And I think the sky is the limit then. So I will not add too much because I can see times of many time there. So I would keep it short. But that's my thought.
Thank you very much, guys. One last thing that.
The last thing I would love to add is that, or if anybody and whoever is looking to raise money, they need to be really good at their marketing. Because as Salman said, we're not pitching the right way. We're not just telling people that they should know. So we participated in a lot of awards, and that's just one way of marketing yourself. And we were the only company in Dubai who's won the best logistics startup of the year. And then we won Pasha Award. All these awards they're just your marketing. And this is what investors will Google you and they'll find out about you. So when people, let's say xyz.com, they Google it, they just see that link and that's it. They don't see anything else because they're sitting in US. They don't know who you are.
Yeah.
They've just seen a pitch deck. And when they Google about you, yourself, your team, or your brand, they just don't know anything about it.
Exactly.
So that's one thing which I would love
That's
to add.
absolutely, you're absolutely right, because I always say that, like, right now in our country we are trying to build apps and platforms. What I believe, strongly believe, and we have seen over the globe, that we need to build brands. And when we build brands, then we can definitely attract foreign investment. Thank you very much, all of you. And now I will like to invite other guests. So we will carry on this interesting discussion about e-commerce opportunities in Pakistan. And I have more guests over here. So I would like to invite Mr. Faizan Aslam, CEO, BookMe, Mr. Hassan Khan, CEO, Tracks, Mr. Shayan Tahir, founder and CEO, homeshopping.pk. Assalamu alaikum. Shayan, you can hear. Assalamu alaikum. So hopefully you guys doing well. I will start with Shayan. So Shayan, kindly tell us, how are the marketplaces performing in Pakistan, and what are the growth opportunities in this domain?
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. So first of all, thank you for having me over. And so marketplaces have been around for a very long time. I think it was pretty much the oldest model e-commerce businesses that have been there since 2008. 2006, I think, was the first time when marketplaces kind of came to the scene. And they have been growing over the years, and it was accelerated when the Raz actually happened in 2015. So it is growing. Obviously, everyone have their own ways of growing this. Daraz is definitely backed by a Chinese firm, which is Alibaba, and they do tend to discount both sides of the marketplace, the demand and the supply, to keep growing their top line. For some of the other e-commerce stores, they have different goals. They have to take care of the bottom line as well. So they're not maybe discounting both sides of the marketplace like us. In our case, it's a profitable business model. It's not a discounted business model. Therefore, we're growing, but we're not growing at an exceptionally fast pace. But that's not our target. Our target is to grow the company while we're making sure that we are organically growing this. We are not going out to raise funding because we want to grow with the resources that we have in our hands. But after COVID, we've seen that the market has accelerated quite a lot. There are a lot more organic orders coming in. The basket size is increasing, and I mean, it's something which is bound to happen. We heard about the numbers about how we have a young population and how the internet penetration is increasing. So eventually Pakistan is going to have about 50% of the commerce happening online. We just don't want to speed up the entire process. We feel that we have to wait for the industry to kind of speed up, right? It is a slow journey, and we have our time. So we're comfortably seeing how the market grows, and as it grows, we will be getting all that increased business that is there on offer to come our way.
Okay, wonderful. So Hassan, we have heard amazing stories about the growth of e-commerce and logistics being backbone of the industry. I will ask you the same question again. What are the preps from your end, from the industrial standpoint? What are the preps from in this domain?
So thank you for having me here. We've been associated with the Taj Labs for I think quite some time now. We have been part of their events. I think it's always a good show, always good community that shows up. I've been associated with e-commerce for the last 7 years. Actually, this is my second venture. I have been, my first venture was also around logistics, and I've seen it from the time when 4G was not launched in Pakistan, 3G and 4G. So that's when we started off sort of targeting the e-commerce industry, and we saw the transformation and the shift happening from that point onwards. Right? It was an amazing, it was a phenomenal journey. And the last 1 or 2 years, because of COVID especially, has, I think, the growth has accelerated. I feel, there's still a big potential out there. If you look at the numbers, Pakistan is still at 0.3%. The retail of Pakistan is e-commerce or online, right? India is at 0.5 or 1%, 1.5%. China is at 25%. 25% of their retail is e-commerce. So imagine the kind of upside that we are looking at. I've been in this for the past 7 years. I've seen 2x, 3x growth every year for the past 7 years. Built two ventures, tracks currently. People who don't know, we not only provide delivery services, we provide fulfillment and warehousing services as well. We are helping e-commerce merchants in Pakistan export their goods as well. And you'd be surprised to know the newest vertical in e-commerce, which is hyperlocal or Q-commerce. It's we're working with the likes of Carrefour and Unilever now launching their own snack delivery apps, and we're delivering for them in 30 minutes. They're delivering ice creams. Imagine that all happening online. So I think it's an amazing time to be alive, and there's a lot of things happening in e-commerce, and we're glad to be part of it.
Excellent. So you mean that, like, from the logistics perspective, you're all set for the growth. So can you share some stats, like, from recent year, like, especially this Corona post-Corona phenomena, like how much you grew in terms of a logistic company? We would love to hear about that, like, so that everyone know that, like, what the growth opportunities.
We launched Tracks in 2017. So it was 2-3 years before COVID happened in 2020. So we were lucky that way. We were all set. We had operations. We currently operate in all of Pakistan. We cover about 500 towns and cities in Pakistan, which is most of Pakistan, all 4 provinces. So, when COVID happened, I think things changed drastically. We have helped retailers execute models. For example, we, for the first time in Pakistan, introduced omni-channel fulfillment system. So generally, merchants in Pakistan, they use centralized fulfillment systems.
Yeah.
They have their centralized warehouses based in one city, for example, Karachi or Lahore, and from there they serve all of the country. Even the retailers who have their outlets present across Pakistan were not making use of their physical stores to serve their online orders. So we actually, in COVID, we were fortunate enough to be able to execute these models with some of the biggest retailers in the country, where we told them that you can use your chain of stores to fulfill your online orders. Use the location that is closest to your customer to fulfill those orders. For people who do not have retail presence, we build fulfillment centers for them. We provide fulfillment solutions as well, warehousing, pick, pack, and ship. In COVID, I think all of these solutions has helped us grow and penetrate further. I think we grew by 3-4x just in 6 to 8 months time, from March to September. I think we were doing about 18,000 orders a day. And in COVID days, early COVID days, after the lockdown was lifted, we were doing about 40-50,000 orders a day for
Wow.
quite some time. So that was the kind of growth that we saw in a span of few weeks. So yeah.
Excellent. That's a huge number. Okay, Fazan, considering you have a different kind of business model from conventional e-commerce, you're providing convenience commerce. So what kind of awareness exists in Pakistan regarding convenience commerce, and do you think that it like, what lacks to flourish this side of e-commerce?
Very good question, first of all. So I would like to thank everybody for showing up, and thank you, Arzish, for putting up a great show. So I mean, we primarily deal in the transportation sector, primarily the intercity buses and airlines. The intercity bus sector has consumers that are not generally not very literate or not very tech savvy. In the first 3 years of BookMe, we were doing cash on delivery, and we were, making people more comfortable using e-commerce platform, paying online and transacting online and all that. But after 3 years, when we had that kind of a monopoly in the market, I would like to share a few things there. So when we had that kind of a monopoly in the market, we switched off cash on delivery. So since 2017, BookMe is a complete cashless model. I mean, there is no cash involvement. Every single payment, every single order is done digitally. There's no cash movement. So the kind of monopoly we had in the market, I mean, the kind of discounts, the kind of offer that we were giving to our customers, they had no other option but to pay
through a digital medium. Yes, I mean, generally people would say, okay, you are in the intercity ticketing domain, your customers are not very great and all that, but I would not really agree to their thoughts, because if you consider BookMe, it's the number one or the biggest cashless platform in Pakistan with the highest number of digital transactions on a day-to-day basis for all the payment gateways that we use on our platform. So generally about 50,000 people buy tickets on BookMe through digital mediums, and the growth is like 23% month on month. So I mean, the people who are thinking that, okay, we'll be going to that kind of a phase where people will be comfortable paying online and all that, I think if your platform has that kind of can say stickiness, or if your platform is that kind of a strong, where people does not really have another choice, you can drive the customer experience. You don't have to follow the customer. You can be the driving can say force of the customer experience, and you can uh, force people to pay digitally, else they'll not be able to get that service that you're offering.
That's a great learning, especially for everyone in e-commerce. That like, if as you said that like you're delivering all of your bookings through cashless
Yeah, I
delivery.
mean, I
So
would like to add here. So, yes, once we switched off the cash on delivery option, that year was very slow. I mean, people, because that was a huge behavioral change. But at the same time, you have to do that if you really want to scale. And you cannot have 10,000 riders sitting across different parts of the city and delivering orders.
yeah,
When your end product is an e-ticket code, it can easily be sent through SMS or email, right? So you can do that digitally. So yes, that year was very difficult, but after that we have not looked back. I mean,
but do you
after
think
that,
that like is it a like a more scalable model, or it's a more lean model for your business, or like in general it's a like a much more needed model? Because uh, what's your take on people not having credit cards and all that options?
okay, so there are two things. So number one, I mean, we are in that kind of a model which can be delivered digitally.
Yeah,
You don't need a physical item or physical good to be
yeah,
handled. In our case, it's if you really want to scale, if you really want to go 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 orders a day or beyond, you have to, I mean, adopt the digital payment methods. Other than that, I mean, if you are doing cash on delivery, well, you're not able to scale, and you'll always be a loss-making business. You can never be a cash, because the margins are so thin in
yeah.
the, especially in the sector where we operate. In terms of the other segments, obviously, I mean, you have a physical good and you have a physical thing. There is a need of cash on delivery. There is a need of not the cash on delivery, but the obviously physical handling. And I think in that case, it can generally work. But if you go to the digital payment methods, yes, it can help you in a number of ways. Number one, your cancellation rates will drop dramatically. Your fake orders, or you can say other people who are just trying your platform and making an order and then refusing that, refusal rate goes lower. I'm sure Shayan may can add a lot of can say feedback on that part, because he's an expert in that kind of domain. But in terms of goods where you can deliver digitally, I believe it's about time that you forget about cash on delivery and use the digital payment method.
Excellent, excellent. So, guys, I have a common question from like for all of you. Where should we focus for growth hacking of the whole e-commerce system of the country, not as an individual company, but as a nation? So, what do you think? What needs to be built, and how much time we have to? We do have to cope with the global market standards. So, what do you think? Starting from Shayan.
Right. So I still feel that there's a major, trust deficit that still exists within the market. When regular people want to buy online, the first thing that comes to their mind is, "Ke koi scam ho jayega, koi challenge ho jayega." So that's probably the first thing that needs to be addressed. Uh, Having cash on delivery is not the solution. I was absolutely agree with Vedant. So I would also like to add that we've been in this space for a very long time, from a time when there was no cash on delivery. So cash on delivery back in 2008, when we were starting off, it was the need at that time. At that particular time, it was required, because at that time people had a different thing within their mind, that if we're going to use our credit card, some sort of scam is going to happen, because that is something that was imported from the US. But just to mitigate that risk, it was very important that we have a payment method which is called cash on delivery, and people can pay when they get their products. I remember going up to a lot of courier companies, and they said that this model can never work in Pakistan, and you're probably smoking something. But eventually, we made them realize that this is something which is a need of the hour, and that was eventually implemented. But over the years, I remember 2014 was the first time when we crossed $5 million in revenue. We were the first e-commerce company to kind of reach that kind of a scale, and I realized that I have riders blowing up here and there because there was so much cash into the system. Sometimes the rider from Lahore used to run away. At times Karachi may at point pe, as things can happen. So when I realized that all of this is happening, and we having a basket size which was relatively higher, 35,000 was the average basket size, and we were doing quite a lot of orders on a daily basis. So we realized that if we are to go beyond this, we are to scale this, the term that we all use, it's going to be a lot more of all that we're seeing right now, right? There would be a lot more riders blowing up, and there would be a lot more, things happening. So in order to make it into a lean model, we had to take a step back. And for me, if we wanted to scale to the heights of $15-20 million on a month, on an annual basis, this problem of dealing with cash had to be solved within the system before we could kind of move forward. So taking that step back was very important for us. And obviously it came with its challenges that you're going to lose a lot of orders, but then it came with a lot of advantages also. And you don't see them till you really make that plunge and you really kind of cross that line. So 2017 is pretty much the same time for us as well. Then we closed down COD entirely on the platform. As COD got shut down, we had a cost benefit, which we eventually passed over to the customer. And we always heard about this, that Pakistan mein, 500 रुपए के लिए customer जो है वो छोड़ देता है. So that absolutely was true, because at the minute we kind of offered that cash benefit or that discount to the customer, he eventually started coming to us, even though, let's say, we might not be as well known as Daraz, but people would search us because we have a better price, let's say, right? So people would eventually get to us, buy from us. We would probably be able to give them a better experience because cash is not being dealt with. So over the years, I think this element of trust needs to be fixed. It could either be through an escrow, maybe State Bank getting involved, where a reversal could be possible, because all over the world, reversals are a norm with digital payments. I think nobody's really worked on that front. We have IBFT working, so one person can make payment to the other person, but you can't really claim that if the services are not provided. So if that reverse leg is sorted, which I don't think would be that difficult, but if that is sorted and you empower the customer, that if someone's not able to provide you the right set of services, you can set up a dispute and kind of take your funds back via the same channel, which is IBFT. If that is sorted, then I feel that a lot more people will be ordering online. And I think local companies need to be empowered, people who are already in the space, who are working. I do not think that some Pakistani who would just overnight come from abroad to Pakistan and then start building up their venture. Yes, they're more investment. I mean, they could be they're more investable, but I do not see that they really understand the market to grow those kind of companies. So I feel local players who are in the market for a while are the ones who should be supported to kind of get or take the market to the next stage.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. So that means that we need to improvise our customer experience. There is a lot of opportunity if we improvise our customer experience, we make it more user-centered. And then, as you mentioned, that there is actually good opportunities for fintechs to improvise the payment methods and the reversal systems, to improvise the returns and whole policy thing. So, Hassan, what do you think?
So to answer your question on what to do exactly to be able to scale up to leapfrog, एक तो चीज शयान भाई ने कही कि trust, we have to be able to sort of reduce this trust deficit. I think there are two things very important to be able to scale up efficiently. First is technology, and second is collaboration, as you spoke about in your previous panel discussion. See, e-commerce is all about volumes. You have to process volumes because it's wafer thin margins generally, and you have to process volumes to be able to generate better, bigger revenues. And for that, you need to have technology and systems in place. You can't do it without it. So I feel in Pakistan, across the industry, in logistics, in e-commerce, where buying and selling is happening, wherever it's happening, wherever the digital transformation is coming, you have to answer the questions through technology. You won't believe, Shani, we are now working with banking sector as well. There's such a lack of technology there when you talk about delivering their goods, that we are only able to solve those problems, the gaps left by the conventional logistics player, through technology only. So I feel that's the kind of investment that every startup founder should look at. Every company established, small or medium size, should look at. And generally in Pakistan, it's still very difficult to figure out this technology bit. I think still we do not have a lot of talent in technology, but I think slowly we are coping up with it. Secondly, collaboration is very important. See, we feel that Faizan and Shayan spoke about how they got rid of the COD model for them to improve the quality, and with even with lesser volumes, increase their success ratios. We can't do away with COD, right? We provide COD services because COD is still the dominant mode of payment for for the online shopping, and consumers still prefer to pay through COD. Doing about 50 to 60,000 orders in a day, and most of them are COD transactions still. We can't do away with it, but we have to find creative solutions around it, and the only way to do it is to collaborate. Collaborate with fintechs. We are in talks with fintechs right now. We are in talks with banks. So as Shayan said, when you do COD, or when the cash is in your system, there's a lot of risk associated with cash. But we are finding unique ways through collaboration of mitigating those risks. So that's very important. You won't believe how seriously we take collaboration, that we have even collaborated with our competitors, the conventional logistics companies, to give our customers a complete democratized fulfillment and delivery solution for them to be able to do it. So, we literally go and tell the online stores that you can run your online store now from any location. You can be having a holiday in Skardu in Pakistan or in Turkey and running an online store, because we manage your inventory, we do the pick, pack, and ship for you, we do the deliveries for you, and our systems are collaborated with banks, with other logistics players. You don't have to rely on us only. It's a completely democratized, decentralized solution that we have sort of now built that can help you scale up. So I think these are two very important aspects that you need to look when you're scaling.
Excellent, excellent. So that means that we need to improvise our user experience, we need to focus on payment methods, and we need to build amazing collaborations to scale the whole ecosystem. So, Faizan.
Yeah, just to save time, I mean, I'll just focus my answer towards what Shayan shared, and just add a little bit more information. So, in terms of the refunds or reversals that you mentioned, so just to add, we at BookMe, is directly integrated with majority of the banks in Pakistan. I mean, their servers are communicating directly with the bank servers. So, in terms of reversals, banks are going there. I mean, if we talk about BookMe, so we were able to refund Pakistan Super League matches that were supposed to be held in Lahore. They were refunded in just 3 days' time. Same goes with the Pakistan versus New Zealand series. So we were the exclusive ticketing company that was doing that. And once that was cancelled within 3 working days, all of the customers who have purchased Pakistan versus New Zealand tickets, they were sold out events, and they were reversed. So things are getting there. Yes, they are not available to every e-commerce player, but I mean very soon, because they are, also in a process of developing APIs and all that. Right now they are server to server integrated, but very soon we will be able to see these services available to all the e-commerce players in Pakistan.
Thank you very much, Faizan, Hassan, Shayan. Thank you very much for all these wonderful insights of e-commerce industry. And we all hope that we will be building better collaborations on today with like so many talented people over here. Thank you very much once again on behalf of Ijaz Labs and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shanavas, for moderating and the panelists for your insightful information. Moving forward, I would like to take the pleasure of inviting Khan, who is the head of investments at General Partner 500 Startups.
Hello. Hi, everyone. That's not me you see in the picture. I'm replacing Enes, who is a general partner, but I'm investment manager at 500 Startups, leading the investment sourcing and executions in the fund. So I'm going to tell you today about 500 Global and 500 Istanbul more specifically, and what we do, and if you're building in Turkey, how we can help you. So bear with me for this 10 minutes to learn more about VC funds in Turkey and how 500 Global can help you grow your startup, basically. So 500 Startups globally is an entity trying to democratize the access to venture capital globally, because the numbers show that the majority of VC investments are made in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and there are a lot less investments in rest of the world. And 500 Global, headquartered in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, has been trying to share that expertise garnered over the years to basically share that knowledge with the rest of the world and help them scale their companies globally. So with this vision, 500 Global has more than 20 offices globally, which Istanbul is a part of those offices, covering these regions. For example, we have 500 Singapore office covering Singapore, and us as 500 Istanbul, we cover Turkey, Eastern Europe, and Baltics within this framework. Pakistan, unfortunately, doesn't have its own office yet, but some Pakistani startups have recently got investments from 500 Global's mothership funds. I believe a local pharmacy startup called Davai has recently received investment from 500 Global. There are two ways that you can get investments as a Pakistani startup from 500 Global. One is participating in the famous accelerator program, which is arguably the most popular one after Y Combinator in the US. So you can apply to that, and upon successful completion of that process, you can get a startup capital from that. Or if you're a later stage startup that have demonstrated some sort of attraction and you have your product ready, then you may go on to speak to 500 Global, the mothership fund, who can invest in global companies and do that. But for Pakistani startups building in Turkey, we are the office that you need to talk with to get an early stage investment. So if you have any friends from Pakistan that are building in Turkey, that went to school in Turkey, you can please tell them to get in contact with us so that we can evaluate their startups from an investment perspective in the early stage. So by early stage, I mean the very first institutional capital that you're willing to onboard into your startup. With that, I mean, the Pakistani ecosystem is booming. I know that in the past year, there has been many investments into mostly local companies who are with a huge, growth potential, and that's because the huge population of Pakistan and the internal economy presents a lot of opportunities for a lot of these funds who are willing to invest in early stage. I wish we could do that as well, but unfortunately, our mandate is to invest in Turkey and the surrounding region, basically. So with that, I would like to reiterate how you can reach 500 Global. You can reach us through our website, where you can apply with a presentation or a document that you would use to basically present your startup to us. And also, you may find us on LinkedIn. You may find the Pakistani partner that's situated in the US through LinkedIn, and reach out to him. He will be a lot more welcoming from some other partners, I would say. But if you're willing to engage with us, have our opinion, and maybe have us send your application to 500 Global through us, we would love to do that as well. So for the audience that are here, my name is again Kaan Eren, and if you can find me on LinkedIn, you can ask the program organizers for my name if you're willing to do that. Please do so, and I'd be willing to help you out all to find the right office or the right advice from us, basically. So with this, I thank you all for listening to me, and if you have any other questions, I'll be sticking around over here, and you can find me, and we can discuss in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Khan, for your kind words. Moving forward, I would like to take the honor of inviting Professor Dr. Birol Akgan, President, Turkish Maya Foundation. Sir, would you please join us on the stage?
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Turkey. Welcome to Istanbul. Welcome to very headquarters of this Eurasia. Indeed, in terms of geography and geopolitics, I'm very honored and glad to be with the young entrepreneurs who are seeking their own way in investing in the new niche technology. And well, I think it is a great promise for our nations. And when I heard that there will be a Pakistan Tech Days in Istanbul here at the Sabahat Zaim University, I was really surprised and impressed that, well, I think it is one of the first, as far as I know, in terms of bringing together Turkish and Pakistani brotherly countries, people together for sharing their knowledge, experience, and vision for the future. The future that we are talking about today is and has never been before as it is now, and tomorrow that will be more digitalized than ever before. Even in our cases, being as an educator and academics, serving as the chairman of a national foundation called Turkish Mara Foundation, we are very much dependent on technology and initiatives. Even for our teachers, well, the very nature of teaching and training now is changing. And one of the fifth column of our Mara Foundation curriculum, and as a part of the educational philosophy, is creating a strong technological background for each of our students, because of the fact that we already know that as young as 2 years old, new kids learning how to use technology. If they're crying, just give them a technology, the mobile, playing some games, they discover, and they start crying. Well, there's the technology working for the kids training, kids training. That's an important area of field as well. I know, especially in Turkish case, there are good companies who are focused on the game. One of the, as far as I remember, last year, about close to $1 million, the one Turkish game software company was sold to the world. It was ever before recorded in the Turkish technology history. That's why Turkish Technofest now almost become a national brand for advertising Turkey, together with the Turkish technological development. Last year, Turkish Minister of Industry and Technology explained a target of 1 million new software engineer development. That's a great plan. Otherwise, we cannot compete with tomorrow's world. At our university, at Bar Foundation, we have 370 schools in 47 countries. Well, this is one of the great, growing international networks. And especially during the pandemic time, in all over the world, schools almost come to this topic, their education. Well, even today, the world is discussing how this advantage that COVID period kids, or COVID generation, they call it, lost some 2 valuable years, which will cost them for tomorrow's in their career plan, how to compensate this loss. So technology, in this case, come to our face-saving initiatives in our schools. We used different platforms of LMS, this technology that is used for the in-class education or out-class education. And we trained our teachers just immediately 2019, when this pandemic broke out in China. We already came to recognize that we have to do something that to cope with the upcoming crisis. So we discovered all the available technological LMS means available in the market. We recognized that there are operational 13 different platforms that we discovered, and we test them in different places. And when this coronavirus officially became called a pandemic, from epidemic to pandemic in February 2020, then our teachers were already ready to push off to depending on the technological means, including Pakistan as well. And during the pandemic times, it is the only March schools that were using fully 100% of students were having the opportunity to access the classes through the online on the virtual time. That was a great experience, and even the Minister of Education of Pakistan, who participated in our initiation of the ceremony of the last year's classes, he supported us when we shared our experience with the many of the national governments all over the world. Where we are active, even in, just an example, in the case of Afghanistan, Turkish March schools prepared about 5,000 different lecture series to distribute to the large public opinion, because of the fact that to the large public schools, because of the fact that not all of them have the available means. So Afghanistan National TV broadcast the video cast that we already produced. In many other countries, in the Balkans, in the African, Asia, I think it was one of the great stories in our foundation. For the tomorrow's world, since we learned a big lesson this year, actually, 2021, by the way, as Mar Foundation, it's a technocamp, the techno city here in a university campus. We created our own startup for the software writing for the education LMS system, in order to focus on our system, because we already have ERPs and all the electronic means that is available technologically, and everybody now, I am signing almost all documents through my mobile phone, 24 hours. That changed the whole business in the world. Wherever I am, I was in Angola together with our president last week, Angola, Togo, and Nigeria. I didn't stop anything to function. I just used my phone to sign from everywhere. Well, 24 hours in virtual time you can use, but you have to utilize the already existing software and the system for making your life easy and providing the good opportunity for the young generation. But we have to teach our kids not only to use technology, but how to be a good entrepreneur, how to be more imaginary. How can you make use of that? Because in the past, the Muslim world unfortunately lost the first industrial revolution. That's why our people are suffering from this poverty and other social economic problem. Now the information technology create a good opportunity, making the world flat. If you can use, if you can educate your kids, you can catch up with the industry 4.0. That is a good opportunity, and that's why we have to really teach our new generation how to do business through the means of education, but we get them prepared through the mindset that we have to learn how the world system is working. So I congratulate to all who planned or organized this Pakistan Tech fair or meeting today, and I am very much thankful to have a chance to share our experience as head of our foundation with the all participants. I will be happy to also meet you at our headquarters in Istanbul and our schools in different cities of Pakistan. So please do visit and give them salam and introduce yourself. I am sure we have a lot to do and discover and do business together. Assalamu alaikum, Huda Hafiz, Allah Amanet.
Thank you so much. Moving on, I would like to take the honor of inviting Ozan Ashar, the chairman of TOBB E-Commerce Assembly and Trendana Executive Board member.
Thank you so much. Sayın Başkanım, değerlendirmeniz için teşekkür ediyoruz. Saygılar, sevgiler efendim. Sağ olun efendim. Brothers and sisters from Pakistan, welcome to Istanbul, first of all, a brotherly nation. So you should feel like at home in Turkey, actually. Our countries are getting along very well. So we see you as I said, brothers and sisters. Like today, I'm going to talk about Trendyol. Trendyol is the largest e-commerce platform in Turkey, and Trendyol is a source of inspiration, I would say, because it was founded by a woman entrepreneur, and thanks to the modern technologies, it's quite easy nowadays to scale companies to multi-billion-dollar levels. And when it comes to digital technologies, when it comes to internet, and the companies that are built leveraging these technologies are like based upon inclusive business models. And from that angle, in this age, companies can change the destinies of nations. So the entrepreneurs are change agents, and the entrepreneurs who are building successful digital companies are like the triggering force of the change for good. And Trendyol is a very good example of that. So in order to see the impact of Trendyol on the Turkish economy, and we commissioned an independent research study to an independent consultant, and they conduct interviews with our sellers, interviews with our consumers, and they conducted a comprehensive survey. And this report is based upon that study, and I hope it's gonna shed some light on the impact of Trendyol on the Turkish economy on an overall sense. So, the company was founded in 2009 by a woman entrepreneur called Demet Mutlu, and in the first stage, it started as a fashion e-commerce website. So, it created its own brands, Trendyol, Mila, and Man, and they commissioned the manufacturing task to independent manufacturers, small small factories basically from all around the country. And up until 2018, they only sell their own brand. But when it comes to 2018, they thought that millions of customers are coming, visiting our website and buying our products. So why don't we offer other SMEs and large companies products to our consumers? So the business model shifted in 2018, and Trendyol started to become a marketplace. So with the investment, it has a diversified shareholder base. So our main shareholder is Alibaba from China, General Atlantic from the United States, Principal Capital from Europe, and Abu Dhabi and Qatar sovereign wealth funds has also some stakes in the company. So the founders and the team, fully Turkish nationals, are running the company right now, and they have around 20% stake. 60% is to Alibaba's share, and the rest is divided between these funds from different parts of the world. So the study analyzes Trendyol's impact under 6 headings. The first one is the economic growth and productivity impact, and the second one is empowering local economies, the regional development impact, I would say. And the third one is about creating jobs and increasing employment. The fourth one is about female employment, because as I said, it's an inclusive business model, and being inclusive requires empowering women at the end of the day. Therefore, we have a significant impact on that regard. The fifth channel is investments and technological development of the country, and the last one is about the consumers, customers. So the figures are from the July to 2021. So if we update these figures, you're gonna see the impact increases around 30%, but I'm gonna stick to the old figures because we are in the stage of updating this study. As of July 2021, there are around 184,000 companies selling around 600 million products in the last 12 months to all around the country. And the number of individual sellers who are selling their own second-hand products from our second-hand platform, C2C platform, Dolap, is around 1.4 million individual sellers. And almost 75% of these individual sellers are comprised of housewives. So they don't have their own company, they don't have their own registered companies, but I mean, they can sell through that platform to contribute to their family budgets. And the 98% of sellers on the Trendyol platform are Turkish companies, companies that are formed in Turkey. And around 72% of the products that they are selling to our customers are locally produced products. So therefore, what I would say is Trendyol directly contributes to the local production base of Turkey. So the existence of Trendyol is somehow decreases the transaction costs. So all the companies from all over the Turkey can sell their products to the customers that are based in 81 cities and more than 900 sub-provinces. So this is a platform which is fully transparent. So the sellers are able to observe which products are best sellers. So like they identify the products somebody sells, and that becomes a sizable sales volume. And so they can switch their production methodologies and they can start immediately producing these high demand products. And from that channel, around like 30,000 sellers have started to produce a new product after selling over the Trendyol platform. So all the transactions, it's a bottleneck it's a problem in Pakistan and it's a problem in Turkey as well, high informality. So the trade is taking place, but it doesn't generate any tax revenues to the government. But I mean, thanks to these digital platforms, which all the transactions are undertaken by credit cards, they are fully in account and fully formal. Therefore, like these formal trade, the growth in formal trade brings about more tax revenues to the government. So it's another very important impact that Trendyol creates. So actually, in the time of pandemic, so the shutdown period, so the overall economic activity declined significantly. But at the same time, the e-commerce overshoot. Like e-commerce grew further. I mean, like when you take a look at the government accounts, even though there was a decrease in overall economic activity, government's tax revenues increased at that time. And that increase came from e-commerce industry. And the Trendyol was the major player in that regard. So not only reaching out to domestic consumers, but I mean, we are trying to enable our sellers to sell abroad. We have different models. For example, in Pakistan, we have a store at Daras platform. So we are selling over that platform and we can reach out to Pakistani consumers through that platform. And we call this the global platforms model. And as of today, we can export Turkish SMEs products to around 200 countries. So what's the impact of Trendyol on the sellers, the artisans, craftsmen, SMEs, and large brands? But I mean, I would say like the 99% of sellers who are selling over Trendyol platform are comprised of micro-scale enterprises. So when you ask them what was the impact of Trendyol on your overall business activity, 90% says that like they increase their sales volume and they increase their employment thanks to Trendyol. And 82% said that they hired more employees. They also, like around 90% said that they reached new regions and customers thanks to Trendyol platform. So it's not only about like reaching out to new markets, but it's also about like increasing the operational efficiency. Again, both in Pakistan and in Turkey, we are both developing countries. And one of the main problems of our nations is the low productivity level of our private sector. So like increasing the productivity level of private sector requires some high quality management practices. And high quality management practices requires more data. Data about your operational excellence, data about your customer satisfaction, data about your shipment performance and such. So Trendyol platform is the entire platform is designed in such a way that to feed the sellers with like bounty of data. So with that data, our sellers are improving their operational excellence. And when we ask that question to our sellers through that survey, almost 90% said that Trendyol had a positive impact on the overall productivity level of our sellers in all around the country. So where does sellers are based in? So normally you expect at the initial phases of e-commerce before the takeoff took place. So the almost 90% of our sellers were based in metropolitan areas, which are basically Istanbul, Ankara, and Izmir. But as time passes, what we saw is like the sellers from least developed regions of the country are also joining Trendyol. Today, like the cities of Turkey, which have the lowest socioeconomic development level, are based in southeastern Anatolia region of the country. And like Trendyol is gaining lots of sellers from that region. Because like the sellers which are based in these least developed regions, they don't have access to customers in metropolitan areas. So we have like a very strong transport network. We have like roads, we have railroads, we have like airports. So the human-to-human connection is like very strong. There is no problem with that. But what is required is like these companies which are based in these lower development level regions, they need to find a way to showcase their products. So Trendyol gives them that opportunity. So when you start posting your products on Trendyol platform, then you immediately become available for customers from metropolitan cities as well. So like at the end of the day, when a trade takes place from a metropolitan city customer to a lower developed level city company, then it means a transfer of resources from higher income level regions to lower income level regions, which at the end of the day is very positive for the as an equalizer of development level of the different regions. So what's the employment impact? So what we are doing is a technology business. Normally, what are taught in newspaper articles or textbooks is that like the technology usually has a negative impact on the overall employment level. So the basic story, basic premises, the robots will take over all humans in the production space. But I mean, even though we are in a technology business, we are using technology extensively in our business, we are creating employment. Because like what we are doing is enabling like SMEs at the end of the day, enabling traditional retailers who have their moms and pop shops at the corner of the street. So they are our sellers. And the impact of the employment impact of Trendyol is calculated as 1.1 million people. So as of 2023, in the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Turkish Republic, the employment impact is expected to increase to 2.4 million people. So the backward and forward linkages. So when you order a product from Trendyol, so the seller probably goes back to its manufacturer and order them to manufacture something. And after that product is manufactured, it gets out from the manufacturing plants and goes to a warehouse. And from that warehouse, some other guy takes that product and take it to the footsteps of the consumers. So in all this value chain, it's highly employee intensive, labor intensive. And therefore, like we would say that like the growth of Trendyol is good for the employment generation in Turkey. For women, which is very important for us, as our founder is a woman, and more than like 41% of the top level managers of Trendyol are comprised of women at the company. And the Trendyol is somehow a fashion dominated platform. The fashion products, as we start the business with fashion products, today we are the strongest player on that regard. And the apparel manufacturing is again a female workforce intensive. And our sellers are employing, the female employment ratio of our sellers is around 74%. And the average of Turkey in that regard is only 30%. So the growth of Trendyol is again beneficial for female employment. And what about sellers, women entrepreneurs? So in Turkey, only 1 in 10 entrepreneurs are women. But at Trendyol, our sellers, like in terms of our sellers, 25% of them are founded by a female entrepreneur. And the technological development thing is also very important. Today, around like 1,200 engineers are working at Trendyol, and they are educated from like graduates of 96 different universities from all around the country. So they are like setting the new frontier in e-commerce technologies. They are working very hard. and the new knowledge, the new technologies that they generate are public knowledge. So they share these information, like that information, through online channels with the ecosystem. And the investments. So, like both Pakistan and Turkey, we have an urge to spend like the US, but I mean, we don't save much. Therefore, like both Pakistan and Turkey, we have like current account deficit. And to finance that current account deficit, there are like basically three ways. One of them is portfolio investments. These are carry trade money. It comes here for high interest rates, but it can leave quite easily. It might create some financial instability. It's not very healthy, I would say. But the second one is foreign direct investment. So the greenfield companies come here and start a production plant, or some funds, international funds, come and buy some stake from the Turkish companies. So in terms of that second angle, Trendyol is the largest FDI attractor company of Turkey. In 2021 only, 1.5 billion US dollars came to Turkey to invest in Trendyol, and that had created quite a positive impact on Turkey's balance of payments account. So I know I'm done with my time, so I'm sorry for taking too long, but I mean, thank you so much. Let's build stronger relations, and Erdem Bey is a very important figure on that regard. We have a lot of things to learn from Pakistan, and we have a lot to contribute to the development of our brotherly nation, Pakistan. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much. Moving towards the next panel, that is much awaited and very interesting. I would like to invite on stage the moderator for the panel, Umair Majid, CEO Datix.ai. I would like to invite the panelists, Rehan Allahwala, CEO Rehan Foundation, Usman Asif, CEO Devs Inc., Usman Sheikh, CEO OZ Technology Group.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I will introduce myself. So I'm Umair. I'm the youngest dynamic entrepreneur of the year award holder from the President of Pakistan. I'm an entrepreneur, and I started my company back in October 2018. We usually provide services to our clients. Now moving towards my panel, I will start with Rehan Allahwala. Rehan Allahwala is the CEO of Rehan Foundation. He himself is an entrepreneur and has been producing entrepreneurs for it's a very long time frame that he's been into the industry and producing entrepreneurs. With me is Usman Asif. Usman is one of the leading entrepreneurs who is leading a software house in Pakistan, which itself is being projected or is being presented as one of the leading companies in Pakistan, and they emerged in a very short span of time. Most of the people call it as an overnight success. So we'll go to him and discuss how he calls his success in of Tapzik as an overnight success, or is it a continuation of a journey? The last but not the least, definitely on this panel, is Usman Sheikh. Usman Sheikh is the CEO of Aussie Group and Jolta Electric. He's also been termed as the Elon Musk of Pakistan. So he's the very first person who brought in the electric vehicle in Pakistan. So we'll discuss with him on how he sees the future about the electric vehicles in Pakistan, and about his own venture, that's Aussie, on how he basically created it into one of the leading companies in Pakistan, starting from Android, someone who was the pioneer in Android in Pakistan. So, first of all, the question with all of you from the panel will be how you see Pakistani industry, and followed by like in the start, I will want you to just like, I know I have not been justified in terms of the contribution that you have made in the ecosystem of Pakistan. So just 2 or 3 lines about who you are, what you do, and then how you see the Pakistani industry growing so far. What are where we are headed as a country, and then how you see liaising with the Turkish companies here, like how you see that we can collaborate with the companies that exist. So I will start with Usman, Usman Sheikh. Sorry. So I will start with Usman Sheikh on the extreme right, so that we can move towards.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity that Ijad Labs and the Turkish partners has arranged this wonderful evening and this tech summit. Congrats to them. I would like all of you to, give them an applaud for clapping, because they deserve it. Secondly, there is a word for in Turkish that says, kardeşler. I might be not very good in Turkish, but this means brothers. So Pakistan and Turkey, we are like brothers. And there is another word that says tik millet aki devlet. So one nation, 2 countries. So Pakistan and Turkey is like this. So now let's comes to the point. The question that has been asked. Basically, I'm Usman Sheikh. I'm the founder and CEO of Aussie Technology Group. And then I pivoted in the last 4 years to founding Jolta Electric as a co-founder and CEO, the Pakistan first electric vehicle manufacturing company. So basically, if I give you some snapshot of the tech industry, so we have around 2,000 IT companies in Pakistan. The IT revenue is $3.5 billion. It's 1% of the GDP right now, but it's just a start. So in the next 10 years, so I will share that what will gonna happen. And there are around 300,000 English-speaking IT professionals available in Pakistan. The demand that available in the market as terms of IT professionals is 150,000 professionals. And there are many opportunities for the foreigners, like they can invest as 100% ownership investment, and then repatriation back to their countries as 100%. So there is only 1%, 0% tax on IT exports. And in the last 1 year, the IT export has risen to 30%. So that is almost more than $1 billion. So in the last 70% has risen in last 4 years, 3 years. So these are some tech numbers, some snapshots that Pakistan is the right overview of the tech industry that is growing, and it's in a shape that we can collaborate with the Turkish companies, that they can come in Pakistan, and then we can do wonders for the world as well, and we can do exports in all these major areas. And the fourth industrial revolution that is coming. So if it's about $11.5 trillion around global, so it's 15.5% GDP. So so the numbers are there, and the industrial revolution is all about digital revolution. So we are just 1% of GDP, and the trendy oil, the trendy oil, they're doing wonderful job for Turkey. They have created so many millions of jobs, so many things. So I'm excited to be here, excited to learn that Turkish has done far more superior job than what Pakistan has done. But we are on the line. We are as brothers. We are sharing the information. So it's time for Pakistan as well to grow. Sharing my story, I'm a grad from computer science grad, and have spent time in China and where I worked in embedded design systems. I worked in product design, product engineering, where I learned that how the Chinese have developed their ecosystem, how they have grown to these unanimous heights, and they are ruling the world in terms of economic power right now. So they are the economic hub. So back with this vision, back in 2010, I started this OZ Technology Group with a vision to have mobile apps and development company in Pakistan, where at that time there was no Android and iPhone app development company in Pakistan. So with a team of 5 people, we have grown to now 1,000 people, and we have enabled more than 10,000 professionals, and we have an annual revenue of 25 million US dollar, and this is still growing. And last 3 years, I jumped into the area of EV, where I founded this Julta Electric. And right now we are having a capacity of 6,000 electric bikes production per month. And we are raising money to, reach up to 25,000 bike production in a month. So this is all about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello, hello. Thank you so much. My name is Usman. I'm the founder and CEO of DevZinc. Our overnight success happened in 10 years, where we started with obviously very few developers. We were originally based in Lahore, and then we moved to Silicon Valley, and I tried different things. I had some good successful startups, good successful exits, and from there we learned that the key to success in the services business is to build the employees that you have. And in last 10 years, we have been focused on that. And now we are a 400 plus company. We are based in 4 cities, 4 major cities, in California, in Toronto, in Lahore, and in Islamabad. And we have been growing. So I was an early investor in DoorDash. I was an early investor in some Silicon-based companies also. But the reason I moved to Pakistan and I invested in many companies in Pakistan is because there is a lot of room for growth. Because as an investor, you are either looking for impact or you're looking for growth in terms of money. And both things happen if you are solving a real problem in a real market. And Pakistan has a lot of, so in Pakistan you can find a startup which is app ready, traction, they have traction and everything, and you can really get 30%, 40% out of it with a fraction of some dollars. So that's why I personally believe that there is a lot of room. We are on the verge of taking off in Pakistan, and we DevZinc are also incubating many startups to see how can we be part of it, and we invite everyone from Turkey also to join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. My name is Rehan. I'm in Turkey. Rehan is a girl's name. I just want to make sure I'm not a girl. My background is business and entrepreneurship. I've been an entrepreneur since my first company was when I was 13. I did my first acquisition when I was 15 or 16 years old. I stayed in high school and then I went to college. So my journey has been mostly learning by doing. And in Pakistan, what has changed in the last 10 years due to the arrival of the smartphone, we went from 0 smartphones because it didn't exist to 105 million smartphones in 11 years. And just in the last 1 year, 50 million smartphones have been added. So the change which happened in 10 years has happened in 1 year. That's the amount of speed of change that is coming. And the biggest impact which we will have is, we will see in the next 5 years, so to 6 years, Pakistan will go over multiples of transitions. I've seen this cycle over and over in the last 30 years of my life in the IT sector. I started an internet company in 21 years ago, email company, then internet company. So the evolution has been extremely, changing everything. You have to run very fast. I can become a doctor and I can become very smart in 20 years, but I can become a tech entrepreneur and in 10 years, nobody will even know me. So because the cycle changes very, very fast. So the amount of change, again, remember, which we saw in 10 years is now going to happen in the next 3 years. We will have more investors from the valley be able to teach us. I mean, we have a country where 65% of the country cannot read or write their own name. We have 140 million people plus who cannot read and write their own name. But there is Google Assistant, which speaks to you in Urdu language, in any language you want. So the disruption amount is going to be phenomenal. And that's where the growth is. Then we have an enormous amount of human beings which are needed to be trained. So today, Silicon Valley good coder is $180,000, $200,000. Yesterday, I was talking to a gentleman on the bus. He was saying, I cannot train enough Amazon EC2 cloud engineers who can get $100,000 job easily. So I said, why? How much do you charge for the training? He said, nothing. So what if you charge them $10,000 each for the training? That's how much a typical school is charging for fashion in Pakistan or business in Pakistan. And tell them, I will guarantee that if you spend this $10,000, you will earn $100,000 after 1 year. And if you don't earn, I'll give you the $10,000 back. If you train 10,000 people, you will make $100 million yourself. So that's a phenomenal number if you just calculate it, because we have enough people in our country to train $10,000 EC2 engineers, Azure engineers, 10,000, Python, whatever you want to teach them. There's enough amount of human beings. And I did many experiments in the last 11 years since I started my foundation. I have multiple kids in my lab, you can say, or my company, who have never been to school in their life, never been to college, and they are earning that kind of money, and they are teaching PHP and other languages and already online. And I'm sure you must have known some people. One of the gentlemen I was hoping would be here is Abdul Wali, who started an online portal called onlinestart.com. And he used to sell vegetables, then he started selling biryani. Then he started learning himself, and he's never been to school and college. Now he's moved to Turkey, bought a nice little apartment here, all through his online internet learning and earning. So that disruption is coming. Nobody in the government of Pakistan sees it, supports it, understands it. Or no, majority of the people don't understand that we are all trying to become, we want to have a lab, we want to have an agency. Just train your people. That's the biggest place which we have for training. We have oil, human brains, and we're not refining it. We're just exporting the crude oil. We're becoming Nigeria. We need to become Saudi Arabia. We need to become Dubai, where we can actually take advantage of our assets. In Urdu, we call it, there's a very interesting saying that we have started to believe that हमारे जो वसाइल हैं उनको हमने मसाइल समझना बनाना शुरू कर दिया है. Human beings are our assets, not our problems. We need to convert our assets into we need to convert our problems, which we think is a problem, into assets. So I encourage all of you here to start thinking of going and teaching online and make millions of dollars out of it yourself and charge for the fees, because everybody in Pakistan, yesterday we saw that $8 billion a year is spent by Turkey on charity. And charity doesn't go very far, but we can empower our people by teaching them enormous amount of knowledge which is available on the internet and channelizing the process, which will create enormous amount of wealth for you guys, for people from Turkey, for people from Pakistan, whoever wants to come and invest in the education sector. The next big thing is education. The disruption that is going to happen is education. Can anybody guess how much is the world education market? I did not know this, but the world market for weapons, arms is $2,000 billion a year. And the world education market, according to a statistics I read, is $5,000 billion a year. $5 trillion a year. I mean, no matter what you do, everybody wants to have a good education for their child. So that's sitting. That's country like ours. We all need to educate. So we need to create disruption using the power of technology in that space. In all the problems which we have the biggest asset is our population, 250 million people. If the Chinese did not have 1 billion people, they wouldn't be able to create all this amazing stuff. We can leapfrog. I mean, fourth pillar of the poverty eradication on the planet is e-commerce. That's how Chinese got out of their poverty, and now they have 25% people doing shopping online or on the phone, and it's a cashless society. It's becoming enormous example for us to copy, and we say that we are good copiers. We need to start copying this success as soon as possible. That's what I think. I am very hopeful that we will be out of. We will be, there's a lot of survey by a lot of companies by 2030, by 2040, Pakistan is supposed to be the 5th largest economy in the world, and it's possible if we all start to educate our people and disrupt the whole education system which is out there by using the new smartphone, the new school, college, universities, and our phones now. COVID proved it. The phones were not allowed in the school, and then phones migrated. I mean, the schools migrated to the phone. Everybody saw it, and I'm very thankful that COVID happened. I'm very sorry for the loss of the people who died, but it leapfrogged my country at least 10 years forward. 1 year, 50 million phones, that's humongous. And this year again, it'll have another 20, 30 million phones, which is going to be phenomenal. So it's growth, it's sitting on the table where we just need to be able to catch it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the detailed overview on how the Pakistani industry is working, how we can collaborate with the Turkish people, how we can make some liaising around there. Moving to the next part, my emphasis will be more towards on how you can start as an individual, right? And then you can translate into something big. What type of processes should be there? How you make sure that you are not lost? The reason for this particular question is because once we are in such kind of, we travel together with different companies. So there are some points where everyone keeps on stuck. For instance, that when I started, we were just two brothers. We started our organization. Before, like in the first year, people used to come to me or वो मुझे उर्दू में क्या मेरे को समझ नहीं आ रही आपकी कंपनी चल कैसे रही है. Because I was at that time, I was not myself very much of like एक जो कि वाकई मतलब I didn't have the answers like how it is operating, right? Then I got opportunity to work with some of the US companies, and then I understand what's the importance of a process, what's the importance of a department. So I built different departments within my organization, and after building those departments, my growth get tripled, right? I've been working with the US government, I'm working with different ventures there. So working with government level, making portal where you are collecting the tax payments for US residents, it's not an easy game. And then doing these expansions and everything, right? So I have, from Usman, what we can see is like how you can manage different companies, how you can manage and make it big. From Usman, we can understand and how what's the importance of processes, how you can diversify your company into different like different cities, different places. And from Rehan, I will want to understand on how you can start as an individual. What's the important point? So if I again repeat my question, it will be from Rehan to understand on how you start as one and make it something from nothing to something in existence. And from once it's something, how you make it till a company of 1 to 1,000. I will want Usman to help me on understanding and spreading this on how you make it from one that has started his own company with a passion, and how he can translate it into 1,000, and then from Usman Sheikh to understand on how you can make that 1,000 to a 5,000 company, right? So starting from Rehan.
So how do we start something? We are in the land of Maulana Rumi. Maulana Rumi is buried in Konya. He was from Turkey, so he's buried in Turkey. And I have this giant quotation of his in the front door of my house. It says, "First, I was clever, and I tried to change the world. And then I became wise, and I started to work on myself." And that's one thing which we need to all start doing. So I made a promise to myself last year that I will never, ever, ever talk about problem of anyone who's not in that room. So that means if I'm alone, I have to talk about my own problems. And if I am with him, I'm going to talk about him, not about the prime minister of X country, not about anybody who's not in the room, because he's not there or she's not there. And I'm not responsible at the Rose Husher of anyone who's not in that room. Whatever my prime minister does, whatever my politician does is his problem. And whatever I do, I would be judged on my belief, my actions, or my niyat, for example. So all you do is just get up and start doing it. And that's where the challenge I find is the biggest, is we are all not taking the actions. Because once we take one little step, people start observing. And then I have this great quotation by Gandhi, which I really admire, is first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they stop you, and then you win. Every single person who's successful, I'm sure, including these guys, have been through this. You know, nobody, first, your family, oh, he's going to lose. He will come to his senses in a year's time. He'll be back. Second, they start laughing at you. Then the puppa will come. I was talking on the way over with the guy in taxi with me. He was like, "Oh, my puppa, he did not believe me. But now when I made $1 million, he's like, how did you do this? I need to be learning the same thing." And third, they will stop you. Before the success, they stop you. Everybody, be it Richard Branson's of the world, be it Bill Gates of the world, Bill Gates was indicted by the Congress. He was in the Senate. He was indicted. He's like, "We are going to break down Microsoft into 1 billion pieces. You will never recognize it again." So everyone who tries to do something different, it brings a challenge for the rest of us. Like, how dare he do something totally different? So that's my mantra now, and I think I live by it. And you just do what you can. Don't worry too much. We worry too much because we have to learn to we have been taught to worry too much. You have to come first. You have to do this, you have to do that. There's so much we have the impulse. Every single person in this room has a different fingerprint, different iris scan, different personality. I have 6 children. Every single one is totally different than the other one. It's like, oh, my brother is so different than I am. How can we say go to the exact same process? We're not supposed to do the same thing. The world will be flavorless if we all do the same things. There's no secret recipe, but the secret recipe, I think, is you just keep on working with ourselves. We have this amazing gentleman, Mr. Harun Dosani. All of you should go and meet him. He's here. He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on his personal transformation with Tony Robbins. And he's like, with the moment I did that, I started to change, and I started changing at 46. So it's not too late at any age. You have to start growing. But he said 90% of my change is based on me, what action I did, based on leaving everything. And he used to sell chaat masala or chaat in a bus in Hyderabad. Now he's a multi-millionaire. So if he can do it, anybody can do it. And it's not just that it has to be in the United States, it can be anywhere. So that's what I have to say.
I'll focus my answer more on tech side. So in tech, I think we usually come up with solutions of a problem that we look around. I would suggest that we should start with a problem that we want to solve, the real problem that you understand personally. I've met so many people. They ask me that, what's the disruptive idea that I can build that will make me a billionaire? That's not how you start usually. The way you start is that you come up with a problem that you are facing, and then you think of a solution that will work for you. That's your niche solution for your niche market, and then you build it. Before building it, you conduct some interviews, you do hustle, you talk to people. People are very, very confidential about their ideas, and that's where the problem is usually. It's okay to discuss idea. If your idea is the only power that you have in your company, that's your company is nothing essentially. And if you're too afraid for people to steal your idea, maybe they will, but more chances are that if you discuss it with people, they'll tell you that how are you wrong or how your assumptions are not right. So make sure you conduct interviews to find out your assumptions and validate them before building anything. And I would suggest sell your idea before actually building it. I've seen so many people, they've like spent, I myself have like spent 3 years in building the idea that we never sold, you know. So fail often, fail fast is the #1 thing that I've seen in Silicon Valley, that just build the idea, take it to the market, and what's called, if you're not super embarrassed by the first release, you have launched too late, you know. So and so this idea stage is very, very important. Think it through. What are you trying to build? What's your niche market? If your niche market, if the power in your idea is that, okay, this person is doing the same thing, but I'll do it cheaper, that's not a good idea, because he's not doing it cheaper because of a reason, you know. You won't be able to do it. Or if your idea is based on premium model, that okay, I'll have 1 million users freely using my app, and then 1% of them will convert and they'll make me millionaire. No, that's not gonna work either. You know, Dropbox is still negative. What's making you different, you know? So come up with the idea, validate your assumption, and then start building a company. And Vinod Khosla sahab say very famously, I'm a huge fan of him, that that there is a difference between a $0 million company and a $0 billion company. Both are at zero, but there is a difference of vision. So when you're building, there is always 2 scenarios: what if I fall, what if I fly. So focus on what if I fly scenario. You know, what if my company takes off? What will I be? So that's the second step, you know. And then you build your idea, and then you build your team. The team you build is the company you build, you know. The team is very, very important, and everyone in your team needs to be sold specifically on your idea. Like that has to be their passion. That has to be their, at least the first hiring that you're doing, they needs to be your believers. You know, I remember, I've read it somewhere, that Mr. Kennedy, when he took stage, when he was the president, he asked everyone that, and he sold to Congress that we are putting men on the moon, and he was just selling this to everyone. And in NASA, he was very focused on that, we are putting men on the moon, we are putting men on the moon, you know. And one day he was at 11 p.m. night time, he was coming back and he saw a janitor, and he asked him, "Gentlemen, what are you doing?" And the janitor was like, "Sir, we are putting men on the moon." You know, everyone, even the janitors, are so sold on your ideas that they are also a huge believer of the idea. That's how you build a company. That's how you build success. And what I've seen in my personal life is that there are milestones. So you hire your first engineer, it takes you 6 years, and then you grow towards like 30 engineers easily, no problem. And then at 30 you are stuck again, and then it takes you some time until you unlock the magic of hierarchy, how to build departments, and then it takes you till 80 engineers, and then you're against. I'm talking about engineers because I'm talking about tech startup, you know. And I think this stoppage happened when you're adding a hierarchy. Before, you were doing everything yourself. You were the CEO, you were the salesman, you were the developer, you were everything. And now you have to delegate, and that's how you learn. And then there's a second hierarchy add, and one hierarchy easily can get to 20 people easily, no problem. But when you try to cross 20, 30 engineers, that's where the problem comes. And then you have to trust your believers that they will produce more believers. And that's how you grow. So every time you add more hierarchies, every time you add more, you delegate more, you trust your people more, that's where the growth happens. I think the science behind building scalable business is to focus on the element of scalability, not on the price point. What is exactly your thing which is automatable and repeatable? If your business is building something which is unique and very expensive, but it cannot repeat, like what we saw with the cloud computing. Cloud computers used to be like $10. When Amazon launched it, people were laughing at it, because at that time you can get a dedicated computer at $2,000. You know, that's the only option that you had, minimum. I'm from that time. And when the cloud computing came in, their original selling point was $20. You know, and it will take them 10 sales to get to one sales point that a dedicated computer will have. But the level of scalability that a cloud computing provides will make you billions. And with a dedicated computer, you can never do that. So I would suggest that focus on the scalability part very much. That we have met many clients where they have asked us to change our product direction to support their particular need, and they were our bigger clients, you know. And if we change our product line up for 1 or 2 clients and not focused on the destination that we want to be, which is scalable and automatable, then we can never build a business out of it. So be very focused on what's your agenda, what's your product line, and where you want to see yourself in 3 years and 5 years. These planning go a huge. So when it says like planning is everything and plans are nothing, it cannot be more true, you know. So plan about it, where you want to see yourself, and then do planning, and then it's okay if it goes wrong. You know, things happen. We make choices, we never look back.
I think that's the disadvantage of you being the last to say, because Rehan and Usman, you know, said it all, and I'm so glad to know that, you know, he described everything that I've experienced, that I've gone through. So first of all, his words, take it very seriously, because this is, you know, take you to the journey of, you know, from a 10 people company to 400, as he described. I will start with, you know, with change, you know. So we will do a little exercise that will explain that what changes. So if you can, you know, guys, normally how you shake your hands, you know, you do it. All of you do it like this, the way you do. And now just change the fingers. Before you were doing like this, and now do it the other way. You will feel that, you know, it's not your hand. So you feel a little uncomfortable. So when you feel uncomfortable, it means that once we do something, we start off with, you know, as he explained, that we start off as an entrepreneur, those who can really, you know, from zero to hero, they create success. But what really makes an entrepreneur is the ability to change, is the ability to explore himself, oneself, that how to bring in change within yourself, within oneself. So he explained that once you start as a 5 people company, you are the janitor, you are the CEO, you are the HR, you are the sales guy, you are the tech guy. But once we start it, we'll start it as a baby, and we start to love it as a baby. And then we love our roles. When we start loving our roles, it's really hard to come out of those roles. Then we know, once we grow to like 50 people company, we're still doing the same roles. We're still, you know, interfering in HR. We're still interfering in sales. We're still interfering in all these areas. So we have to update ourselves that, you know, pick one area now, 2 areas now, leave other areas. So the success doesn't lie in how many things you acquire. It lies at how many things you leave. So you have to leave your roles, your areas of expertise, and that's the very hardest part. You feel, you know, it's like, you know, being uncomfort, you are enjoying the comfort zone. So every time you have to come out of that comfort zone and create a new challenge and conquer that challenge. Once you conquer that challenge, you go to the high level. Once you achieve that, you again start loving it. So that's how we are. That's how humans are. First of all, we never wanted to come out of the womb's mom, because we love that area. Once we came out, we cried. We started crying. Now, once we are leaving, everybody, you know, we don't want to leave this world, because we are in love with this world. So we have to leave the love we do every time at every stage, because an entrepreneur focuses on 5 areas. He builds the team, he builds the vision, he builds the business model, he builds the right timing, right strategy, he arranged the funding. So step by step, he's doing. Most of the time when you've grown up to like 400 people, your roles become like you are doing 70% as a manager and 30% as a tech guy. So now you're stuck. That how to grow to 1,000 people. So you have to start delegating, start trusting, and, you know, give your roles to other people and share your success with them by being, you know, being partner with them, or, you know, give them stock options, give them some leverage so that they go with your vision. So it's very simple. Once you start, people join you for money. Secondly, after 3-4 years, they join you for value addition. But in 10 years of journey, the real people, they focus on the vision. So they will stick with you because of your mission, your vision. So when I started, I have this vision, I will create an ecosystem of enabling ecosystem in Pakistan for mobile apps and games company. So whatever I learned, having a 100 people company, I started sharing with everyone. So normally we keep the secrets with us. So I do it the other part. I started sharing the success, the secret sauce. So once I will share, it will be a challenge for me to learn new things. So I challenge myself first, then I will able to grow and the people will follow. So it's all about creating success stories in your area, creating success stories in your country, so that you develop such an ecosystem where we enable, like China, where every other person is scoring every other company. So this we have done in last 10 years. We are able to mentor 100 entrepreneurs, and now they are running successful companies. And the second is patriotism. So once you love your country, once you have that belief in your country. So I was in China, I was in Dubai, I was living there, having a good life. I decided that this country has given me so much. So it's the time to pay back to your country. So I headed back and started enabling people, helping them, creating an ecosystem. It's all about you create a success, and that's what the success lies. Made in Pakistan. So we have developed Pakistan's largest mobile apps and publisher network. We are the creators of Pakistan's first chat messenger, Teletalk. We have done Pakistan's first ad network. So this vision, this carries you that we should be the innovators in creating Pakistan's first EV manufacturing plant in Pakistan. So this is how you break the barriers, you become innovator, and you should have that vision, that a vision which is not worth dying for, is not worth living for. So we should, whatever we do, we should be able to, live for it as we can die for it. So vision and having the fearlessness in yourself. Once you are fearless, you break the barriers. You go into something deep in the sea, and then you have the courage to come out. And then again, you jump into something new, and then again deep in the sea, and then you're able to come out. So once you have this ability, you have this persona, you have this attributes, you're able to build from 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000, because now you have the marketplace or the ecosystem that where people have started enabling themselves because of the joining force that you have created as a marketplace. So I will share a story when I started Jolta Electric. So at that time, 4 years ago, so in Pakistan, there was so much, everybody where we go and started sharing, everybody say you are crazy, you are mad, why are you, and having the same shape, same idea, you are just doing the retrofitting. But once we started doing and keep on doing, and once it's inaugurated by the Prime Minister of Pakistan on 8th of July, we got the super traction, and now we are having $1 million in revenue per month. So it's all about believing in your product and fail fast, so you create success, and people start believing in you. So this is, I believe, that right timing and decision making, and changing yourself, adopting yourself for new challenges, coming out of comfort zone again and again, and leaving all your things. So the last thing I would like to share is that normally CEOs at this stage, they focus on being managers and techies. No, they have that CEO structure, they have the operations head who take care of all the operations, all the management, all the technology, and the CEO should only focus to fulfill his vision and manage funding for it, reaching out to the investors, growing scalability. So his job is only to fulfill his mission and vision, and for that he needs to generate funds, either through profit, either through revenues, either through vendors, even through dealerships, or any other model, or through raising money. So this is the last thing that, from 1,000 people company to 5,000, this is the key for a CEO to do. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the panelists and the takeaways. I think for me or for any other tech entrepreneur, or someone who's not an entrepreneur. So if you see the talk that Rihan Bhai gave, is to start. If you think that like what your family will say or what people will say, they're always going to say. For instance, if you reach at a point, still criticism exists in this world, and everyone is going to criticize you. In the end, you have to see your inner self and to see if you're doing a thing for a passion or what's your motive behind that. And once you start, as Usman has mentioned, that you have to build a proper team. You have to be stick to your vision, your plans, and same goes for Usman Sheikh. Like in a nutshell, if I explain what they have shared based on their experiences, is to be selfless, is to delegate, is to build foundations, is to build departments, and just be on the top and just see that the thing is going in the right direction. For me, what I have like in mind for Datix is that I need it to operate even if I'm not there, right? So if I'm not in this world in the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, who knows, right? So as you build a company as your baby, right? And once you always envision it to grow, to prosper, and it should not rotate around you. So if it is rotating around you, it means there is a problem in the system. So for me, the take home lessons from the senior tech CEOs is to build departments within your company, is to be selfless, is to be someone who is just someone who is making sure that the vision and the way company is being going is aligned to your goals. So thank you very much for very detailed analysis. I think it will help a lot of CEOs who are in this delegation on how you have built your organizations and how they can build it this way. So thank you very much once again, everyone, for your time.
Thank you, dear panelists. Moving forward, I would like to request our panelists for the panel discussion on policy for change. First of all, I would like to invite Abdul Rahim, who will be the moderator for this discussion. Then I would like to invite Nuran, who is the General Manager, StarCamp, Professor Dr. Ipek from ISTEC, Dr. Mustafa from Masmara University, Mudassir Ahmed from Unitas Communication. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here again with an esteemed panelists, and looking forward to this session. If I can just ask everyone to briefly introduce themselves, starting with Mudassir.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Mudassir Ahmed. I'm based between the UK and the United States. I am an entrepreneur running several businesses, mainly in communications, lobbying, reputation management. I'm also a former government advisor and active in the think tank policy community in London and Washington. My interest in this summit stems from the fact that I founded an internet startup that seeks to connect religious services providers to customers. and I'm very excited to meet everyone here and learn more about themselves.
Thank you, Mudassir.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen. This is Noran. I'm the general manager of StarCam, which is a subsidiary of one of the largest technoparks in Turkey, Yıldız Technopark. I promise I'm not going to bore you, but I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the history of the technopark, which I've heard from Mr. Abdurrahim that you're also planning to open in Pakistan. And welcome once again. I've met some of you from yesterday from the dinner. Very nice to meet you all, and welcome again.
Dr. Hitit.
Hello everyone, I'm İpek Akpınar from Izmir Institute of Technology, and I'm thrilled to be here with our friends from Pakistan, and it is a wonderful campus. I'm an architect, I'm a lecturer, full-time lecturer in Department of Architecture. I'm also here with my chapeau of architecture. But I'm going to represent my rector and talk about our research, a leading research university and technopark. Yes, thrilled to be here.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Mustafa Senghor.
Hello, I'm Mustafa Senghor from Marmara University. I'm the Director of Technology Transfer Office of Marmara University. We are working with technoparks together and academicians and students. I will be representing technology transfer offices in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we'll start with Mudassir. Mudassir, I think you also run Concordia Forum, and you talked about the think tanks you're working on and working with governments on the policy side. I think you also mentioned that you've started a startup recently and also involved on the fintech side as well. So I think it will be great to get your inputs where you can, summarize from your experience, share some key insights on the policy side, more specifically on the technology ecosystem and the fintech ecosystem, and perhaps some suggestions, recommendations, both for the public sector and the private sector.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll give it my best shot. Well, look, I think it's been very impressive to see this sort of summit happen. And coming out of COVID, nothing replaces face-to-face contact. And in the many initiatives that I've been involved in, I've often sought to bring people together to make face-to-face business decisions, to make face-to-face business networking, and to enable that to happen. During the pandemic, I started a startup called Imam Connect. And Imam Connect was designed to connect imams to people that need imams, a bit like Uber, right? So it's a marketplace that brings imams, various different types of imams together. And I guess one of the reasons we're talking about policy, but one of the reasons I set this up is that in the UK, there isn't a centralized policy setup that enables one to access imams. There's no vetting system. There's no system to verify background checks for police. There's no system to understand what the common standard denominators are. Even the education of imams is a bit haphazard and not centralized. So I thought it was important that whilst creating this startup, we started implementing some basics policy standards, right? And this was really interesting because in a place like the UK, Europe, and the United States, it's the first time somebody's trying to do that. I know that things are far more developed in Turkey and Pakistan and other places, but we found that whilst we were creating this startup, we were making a number of structural changes within the community. We were introducing the idea of standards. We were introducing the idea of having a certain vetting process in place that was implemented. We were introducing the idea of having a place where denomination is not necessarily that important, where you can choose various different denominators. So I guess we were making different policy changes whilst we were talking about this. In my other work, you mentioned rightly that I work with a number of governments, a number of institutions around the world in reputation management and changing policies and lobbying and that sort of thing. But the one big lesson that I think I can draw from that is the power of what Arzish and Startup Pakistan and Grind are doing, which is bringing people together for a fantastic summit like this.
Right. Thank you so much. Moving to you, over to you. Given your experience with working at one of the largest technoparks, and like you mentioned, also something similar which we are trying to do in Pakistan as well. I think it'll be great for the audience to share some of the history of how this concept evolved and where it's today, and how is it helping the knowledge ecosystem for Turkey.
Yeah, sure. So technoparks, also known as in the world science parks, research parks, they have different names in every country, but more or less many developed countries have these types of areas where entrepreneurs and technology companies can come and develop their ideas, and in return they benefit from many incentives such as tax benefits, employee tax reductions, etc. This all depends on what the country wants to do. And I think Mr. Abdurrahim already studied those very much in detail. As many of you are entrepreneurs yourselves, I think it's important for you to be informed about these areas and the benefits. It gives, the feedback we get from the companies in these areas is that they really benefit from the tax exemptions, and they like the fact that they get to work with other companies who might be developing technology similar to their own sector. In Turkey, the law auditing these technoparks came in around 2000s, so 20 years, not that long actually. It's only about 10 years back that technoparks started developing. There are around 90 technoparks all over Turkey, usually founded under universities or hospitals, or private, but more so amongst a university, under a university. Yıldız Technopark is one of these. We are we are owned by Yıldız Technical University, which gives a great benefit to companies about the academic knowledge transfer and the students and internships that are naturally coming with the Technopark being under a university. And I guess any more? You want me to go in detail?
Terms of, do you see any opportunities to collaborate with Pakistan, for example, in terms of building linkages, and where we learn from some of the best practices, and also try to help facilitate entities both sides?
Of course, we would love to cooperate with Pakistan and transfer the know-how. One of the major issue to do with technoparks is that they have been developed in Turkey, very physical. So we built buildings and replaced companies in them. But I think many entrepreneurs would agree that most of the time what entrepreneurs and companies need is different from the company space. They need more things, networking, marketing help, funding. I know Pakistan has some venture capital that is gaining momentum, but it's still not developed enough. So there are ways to develop the venture capital system by policy change too. For example, recently the Ministry of Technology passed a legislation that makes it compulsory for companies that are placed in the technoparks to give back to startups. So because they are having great tax exemptions, they should be giving back to the ecosystem. This was the idea behind the legislation change. So by creating policies that support the ecosystem altogether, I think policymakers could give more to society, and they actually play a pivotal role in how the ecosystem develops in a country.
Thank you so much. So moving on to Dr. Hitit. Dr. Arpit, like you mentioned in terms of the work you've done more specifically on the research side, I think it will be great for the audience to know the insights and the result of your study, more specifically on the tech ecosystem and the techno parks, and also from a policy side, where do you think some of the changes need to come going forward?
Brilliant questions, brilliant points, and I don't have a direct answer, but I can speculate about that. Let me talk first of all about our ecosystem. I mean, I'm sitting between them, one of the most powerful two techno parks in Istanbul. But I'm going to invite you to Izmir, the third largest city, the most beautiful city of Turkey, emerging tech center, leading commerce and finance center of Turkey, multilinguistic, multi-religious. Point taken from you. I mean, there is no one sociology but sociology. So Izmir, both Istanbul and Izmir, are with the multiplicity of colors and positioning, are one of the best locations for investment and for comfortable life. In Izmir, I'm going to talk about our ecosystem. We have about a dozen of universities, but we are the smallest one, youngest one. We are 29 years old. Education is nothing without the support of research. So the privilege, the existence, coexistence of Technopark and then the university given another opportunity, a unique opportunity both for education, students and young entrepreneurs. 30% of our Technopark, we do have 163 national and international companies in our Technopark.
convince our academicians and students to make steps to put their products, technological products into market by combining their innovative findings with the industrial infrastructures. So, what we did is this. If we continue, I will try to explain the response.
So the technology transfer office exists in each university?
Yes, actually, as Marmara University, we are now currently the biggest university of Istanbul. Before Istanbul University was the biggest, since it was divided into two. We have two technology transfer offices. One is just under the university, belongs to the, directly connects with the rectorate, and the second one is under the Technopark. There is also another TTO under the Technopark that has some other capabilities that can do. But we are mainly in the academic part, academic and student part. The other one is the, focusing on the marketing part.
So, I know the getting signals of the time is up. So, I think great inputs from all the panelists, especially a lot of learning for our ecosystem, from the Turkish ecosystem, and thank you for your inputs. I think we'll continue to engage and have a dialogue and seek your support. Mudassir, any last comments from your side? I know you've already acknowledged the effort which is made, but anything else you would say to our Turkish colleagues here and before we end the line?
I want to thank you for asking us such interesting questions. It's been wonderful. Wonderful work, and I'm looking forward to connecting with everyone and learning more about what you do. Thank you.
Elon has to invite, wants to invite everyone in the audience to please go ahead.
Tomorrow we've planned a trip to Yıldız Technopark for those of you that wants to see the Technopark in detail. We are home to 500 companies. About 1/5 of these are startups, so you're more than welcome to attend, and I'll also do a presentation in more detail introducing you to Technopark and the company. Thank you very much for listening.
Nice. Sure. Just WhatsApp me. I'm based in
For the next panel discussion, we have a very amazing host. I would like to invite Iman Azar from JS Bank. For the panelists, I would like to invite Honor, who is the CEO of Baysell, Milene, who is the Director of FinTech Strategy of Residency Turkey, Syed Muhammad Imran from Newsweek.
Just WhatsApp me if you don't have a business card.
Okay. Vikas Anis, Head Digital Transformation and International Business JS Bank. Thank you.
We have our two guests from Turkey that are joining the market students. Hello. Salam alaikum. Hey. Please have a seat. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. Do we have seats? Yeah.
I request you all to please come in the front and be seated for the panel discussion.
Organizers are requesting everyone to sit down. Same is the request from our side. Maybe please. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. All of you, thank you very much for joining. I have been given this responsibility to moderate this session, and there is a reason to it, just to share with you. We are short of time, and they wanted a moderator who can close it in 10 minutes. So the responsibility is with me. So I'll request 30-second intro, starting from your side, if you can please give your introduction in 30 seconds, and then we'll go to the next one. Yeah.
Hi again, this is Nurhan. I'm the CEO of Paysa. We are a fintech company in Turkey. In Turkey.
Very nice.
This is Melik from Finance Office of Turkish Business. I'm a fintech director. Thank you very much.
We are a fintech company based in Pakistan.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Vikas Anis. I'm heading digital transformation at the Chase Bank in Pakistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So starting the first question from Vikas. Vikas, how do you see the fintech industry of Pakistan evolving? And do you see a potential of Pakistani fintech industry supporting Turkish, obviously, industry? And what are the common elements in it?
Great question. So evolution has been a roller coaster ride for Pakistani fintechs. If you go back 10 years, you find not only fintechs, let alone fintechs, technology companies struggling, and they're struggling because of the business model that they have. You have money, you start a tech company, and then you try not to flourish but to survive. So if you ask any fintech CEO sitting right here or 10 years from now, or through the ages, they'll tell you it is not a tech business that they're operating, it is a cash flow business that they're operating. So constantly they're fighting for that. What has happened very interestingly over the last 2 years in Pakistan, and we've been lagging in that because it has happened across the globe, is that the venture capital revolution has come through. Investors have come through. For the first time, there are two very interesting things happening in Pakistan. One, there is a supply crisis because the demand is very high for developers. Simple as that, right? That's what we learn every day. We need software people, we need hardware people. We don't have enough in Pakistan right now. That has happened for the first time. Number two, and very importantly, people with money in their hands, the investors, they're looking around for fintechs that they can invest in. They're not finding any. And the ones that they're finding, which mashallah we've seen today, this chunk of, they're putting a lot of money in that. So the evolution over the last 18, 20 months, it's been great. And I think it will go to many folds.
That's very helpful, which actually brings me to now, as we were discussing outside the hall as well, we see a great opportunity in Pakistan for fintech players. And I see you have mashallah done a lot in Turkey. What do you see as a potential of exporting this technology to Pakistan? Would you be interested? And if you can briefly tell about your service as well.
Definitely, we'll be interested. A brief introduction about Turkish market actually. Banking sector was actually very advanced because of a crisis we had in the early 2000s. Then the fintechs like us had to innovate, bring new value to the market, to the customer, etc. Therefore, we had to utilize the synergies between banks, telecom operators, other fintechs, etc. That's why actually PaySal was successful, I think, in my point of view. We utilized the telco data, introducing credit limits to 20 million PaySal customers. So especially the young people, underbanked people, they are hard to assign a credit limit, right? Because of the thin data, you cannot essence, but that's what we came in with our partnership, with our telco partnership, fintech partnership. We reached that data, we were able to evaluate the customer worthiness and assign that limit and expand our customer portfolio to new segments. So we brought value to the market. That also, as you mentioned, came with the young technology savvy developers for sure. Turkey is also, thanks to that segment, have great developers. So we are also therefore building those services in order to expand as a plug-in services to our other partners, especially in Pakistan and countries like that.
That's very interesting. Thank you very much. Which actually, so while he was replying, I think state and government has an important role to play, right, for providing this enabling ecosystem. While we are running through the same roller coaster ride and we are experiencing the same, how has Turkey been able to successfully deploy that strategy? As I see you are from the presidency, so you can better, kind of educate us. How have you been helping this ecosystem?
Yeah, actually, the banks, as Mr. mentioned, our banking technology sector is very strong. Therefore, in 2001, we have started to use the word fintech. These two state banks, Ziraat and Halkbank, have established a company which is named Fintech, in Turkish is K, and we are using this word for 20 years actually. And the term is used, and also the technology. The other banks have established their tech companies in the world. The big techs are providing banking services, but in Turkey, banks are providing tech services. It's different here. Therefore, the banking regulation is very strong, robust, and the technology, the IT infrastructure is very strong here. And the fintech sector has developed with banks actually till this time. And banks are also creating not just tech firms, also creating fintech firms. So today, eight big banks have their own tech company in Turkey, providing and exporting as well their IT infrastructure, their core banking infrastructure, as well as the conventional bank and Islamic bank. And they are also providing some fintech services, like they are creating some e-money institutions in the banks. So if you look from the government side, what we are doing now, actually our focus is to create the standard finance, maybe, we are now establishing its law, the IFC will have its own law. It's not just construction, having a free area in the center, and in the center we have two focuses. One focus area is Islamic finance, legislative finance in Turkish, meaning legislative finance, and the second focus is fintech. So Islamic finance centers, we are focused on fintech.
That's very interesting to know. So just getting back to you, you talked about credit check, and I understand that is an important issue, and we face that as well. So do you have a centralized credit check database for all the customers in Turkey? Credit scoring model?
Yes, there's a credit bureau for banks and other creditors, as consumer finance companies, etc. There's a centralized institute, just like that. But the fintechs are not yet involved in that center. So we are also integrating because as we can see, we are sometimes assigning the limits better than the banks, even though the data and the more experience that they have. So in order to, in the future, probably we will see that the integration, we will integrate to the credit bureau.
That's very relevant to the audience as well there. So in Pakistan, if you know, we do not have a centralized credit bureau. We do have ECIB, but that is only for the bank customer. So that's a good learning opportunity for all the tech startups here. If we can learn from the experience of Turkey, we can actually replicate it in Pakistan.
But the banks,
it is a bank's consortium, obviously. So, Imran, coming towards you, how do you see Turkey as an opportunity? Obviously, you started off your company 4 years back. Can you see a potential of your company exploring opportunities here in Turkey, and in which field actually?
Yes, because we is working in the fintech side, and we have 60 plus applications which are actually well tested, and they have around for a single application we have around 8 to 9 million financial transactions per year. So they are so well tested that we are actually thinking of taking those applications to the other countries. So starting from Turkey would be good because we are working in the FSI sector, in the defense sector, in the summer officer sector. So we have multiple applications which we can take internationally and in Turkey as well.
So this is wonderful. When I see Pacer, I see an opportunity for Pacer to come to Pakistan. When I talk to AIS, I see an opportunity that AIS has developed solutions which are tested for 220 million people population. They can come into Europe, come into Turkey, and take it forward. So, Lukas, if I ask you, what kind of services would you prefer bringing into Turkey? See, obviously Turkey is a digital country, much digital than us. So, what would be the opportunity window like?
That's a very interesting question. So just breaking up the fintech model in Pakistan or any one country, GCC for example, take the example of Gulf. You go to UAE and you see the systems they're using, all systems, core banking, the stack, ADC, alternate distribution, and e-banking, and then the front-end channels. Everything is coming from either Europe, Temenos, or America, Oracles and symbols and all that. Right? Now, I don't have a problem with those, obviously, those giants, but we need to give sort of, when we talk about collaboration, we have to give a chance to companies which are near East. Why not, right? So, building on that spirit, I think there is a lot of room for Turkish companies to come into Pakistan, Pakistani companies to come into Turkey. And software is always a better choice to start with, not the hardware. Right now, given the fourth wave, we have a tremendous amount of opportunity due to Android, iOS, Huawei, those platforms. It doesn't take a lot. 15, 20 days, you develop something, you pitch your stack in Turkey, and vice versa. Why not? And the other part, sorry, just 5 more seconds, is you do not need, by doing that, you do not reinvent the wheel.
Obviously. So it's just have it developed. Yeah. So many, that brings me to a question I just wanted to ask you. So obviously you have a good governance structure around this ecosystem. I'm sure you must have learned about Pakistan, heard about Pakistan. How would you advise our tech startups that are here to come towards Turkey? How should they approach the market? And how is the government enabling them and supporting them?
You know, Pakistan, we are two brothers, as we talk about. It's Ertuğrul, you know.
Ertuğrul. Every one of us knows about that.
We were creating an Ertuğrul Pay. Yeah, actually, our focus as presidency for fintechs is internationalization, actually. This is different from globalization, you know. We want to export our fintech software and fintech companies to the world. We have very good companies like Pacer, we have very good softwares, and we will also localize other companies in Turkey. We have many European players, we have also from Asia players, and my advice is you can contact us. Actually, we have also offices throughout the world. We have an office in China. Maybe we can open an office in Pakistan in the future. We have an office in Qatar. We are opening some offices to make the services global, actually. And the Istanbul Finance Center is very important, actually. We are creating an Istanbul Finance Center, a special area for fintechs, actually. We call it in Turkey Technopark. Yeah. We will create just a focused Technopark. You can apply for Technopark. It will have an online fintech hub, Turkey platform. You can apply from there. We have also incentives for it. There will be also one-stop bureau in Istanbul Finance Center, you can get your visa, you can get your accommodation,
everything. So
etc.
that's very interesting. I think
the finance center is very important. Please, the finance center will open next year. After 1 year, we will open it. Inshallah. And you can follow social media accounts. You can follow us, and we will also launch our first formal fintech report at the end of this year. If you want to hear about this report, you can follow our social media account, and then we can also send to you.
Please do. Please do. So key takeaways for us as participant. One, this techno park is extremely important for our industry to actually explore and register for that and see how we can export our services. Two, we need to open up an office in Pakistan, and I'm going to personally talk to you on that and make that happen. If it is in Qatar, it should be in Pakistan. We have the first right of refusal for everything. So thank you very much to the entire panel. I'm sorry we were short of time, but thank you very much, everyone. It was very nice having you. Thank you very much, audience. Thank you very much.
So, Assalamu alaikum everyone. We know it's been a long day, or we have to start screening the minds. So we'll do some rapid keynotes. But before starting, if I can please invite Sylvia and Malik Amir on the stage to make a short announcement.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Sylvia. And I'm not from Pakistan, and I'm also not from Turkey. I'm actually from Germany, and I did an internship in Pakistan this year. It was 3 months, and I was working in Popcorn Studio. It's a co-working space, and I just wanted to share some experiences that I had over there and why did I choose Pakistan. And actually, most of the things were already mentioned. It's a very big country and it has a very young population, so I could see a lot of opportunities over there. And actually, it's very important for me to portray a different image of Pakistan in my home country, Germany, because like all these things that were mentioned today, unfortunately, most of German people don't know that. So this is also one of the reasons why I went there. Okay. Yes, so I was working at Popcorn Studio. I already mentioned it's a co-working space. There are different branches in all Pakistan, and I was working in Lahore. And right now, Popcorn Studio is like redefining its brand and its experience. And we also created a new logo with the help of Phoenix Design. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
So we are now launching a new branch in Lahore, on the main boulevard, Gulberg, the Pace Tower and the Pace Mall, main boulevard, Lahore. Inshallah, soon next month. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so the Pace Mall in Lahore, which is the first shopping mall in Pakistan, I think now it's going to be converted to a co-working space called Popcorn Studio, Pakistan's largest co-working space. Mashallah. So now we'll do some brief keynote. So I'll just invite 5 people on stage, and I'll request them to kind of stick to a timeline of like 2-3 minutes. Otherwise, we'll have to, due to the shortage of time, really sorry, but we'll have to request them to keep it short. So if I can just start with Asad Mahmood, we have the founder of Consoli Ads, which is the largest mobile ad network in Pakistan. I think he'll brief more about Consoli Ads.
So, hello everybody, my name is Asad. Thank you, Ardish and HR Labs for having us over here. Just 3 minutes, I just put in the timer for myself, okay? I won't take more than 3 minutes. That's gonna make me much more efficient than that. Okay, so what we really do is in Consoliad, as a founder of the company, what we really do is we help mobile app publishers or developers make money out of ads, right? So why do we really do that? So we've talked about apps and people getting smartphones in their hands, businesses getting enabled with devices. But we need to understand that all the consumers and all the users that we have in hand are basically the data that you really want to use. So generally we see that ads are not a good thing to have in the apps. So generally what we're saying is, if you have people, you have data, you have user, believe me, they're dying to have information. So don't worry about that. It's not a bad thing to have in your app. But the problem is, you have to use them. You don't have to abuse them. So primarily as Consoliads, what we help people do is put Consoliads in your content, and we make sure that the user becomes your data as an oil. We'll make sure that you can sell your ads, you can sell your information to them, and they can see some interesting ads in format, so that you can make money out of that. So, on the other hand, there's the second thing that we do is you can advertise yourself as well. So any business that wants traction, any business that wants user, would also try to use Consoliad so that we can bring in more users and more traction for you through the mobile usage, right? So at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is every business is supposed to have a user base that's actually data. So for that data, feel free to convert that, feel free to make money out of that, because there are lots of other people who want your user segment, your target audience for themselves. And the best way to show them and the best way to entice them is to show them some good ads. And ads are not bad, I'm telling you. It's good for making money, as well as it's good for having good traction as well. So basically, Consoliad works with all the mobile app publishers, be it games, be it any apps. It could be the apps that we're talking about over here, Swift. It could be Elon. It could be all the best apps around the world. It doesn't matter. It's just convert your target audience users into a monetizable oil that can earn money for you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. If I can please have Anand Hussain on the stage, the founder of Capra Falcon Traveler.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for the introduction. 2 years ago, in April 2019, I was in the travel and tourism section of a large international bookstore, somewhat disappointed, as there was nothing on offer about Pakistan. And I was having a little conversation with the sales lady there, and she said something to me. She said something to me which changed the way I think about my own identity as an overseas Pakistani. She said, if it's not on our shelves, it doesn't exist. And yes, she was referring to the existence of Pakistan, which suffers from a negative image. And that further damages the travel businesses and the tourist confidence. And thanks to the Western media, which shapes our perceptions in such a way that we believe to think about Pakistan in a certain way. Today, launched in June 2021, I'm proud to introduce Capra Falconary Traveler, a print magazine with an online presence which represents Pakistan and retails on those shelves today, next to the likes of National Geographic, Lonely Planet, and Condé Nast Traveler. Using FSC certified sustainably uncoated paper, the first issue connects people worldwide with adventure travel companies in Pakistan and beyond, towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the United Nations through our editorial content. You must be wondering why print in a digital age? Print has the power to cut through unbalanced digital noise as the most trustworthy medium to date. In fact, print magazine subscriptions were twice as much than digital since the first lockdown. Before our launch, we were featured in Condé Nast Traveler, the same leading travel brand which listed Pakistan as a top travel destination in 2020. It reaches 83 million consumers in print and has 47% share in the travel market. This gave us pre-launch sales for the magazine, and there is still plenty of room to grow. One of our advertising clients, Julian, the co-founder of Large Minority, a UK-based travel company, which specializes in tours across the world, now wanted to introduce Pakistan and trips to Pakistan. We created magazine content for Julian, through which he received bookings, and it helped him establish strategic partnerships with tour guides in Pakistan. 2 weeks ago, we made it to the headlines of Al Jazeera as a platform which challenges the stereotypes of Pakistan. Now, we're looking to go into large-scale production, larger distribution and circulation, product development, and a big marketing push to make Pakistan even more accessible, actionable, and transactional. We're hoping to combine print with a QR code technology for upcoming issues, which will connect readers directly to hotel bookings, airlines, video content, discounts, and even QR language translations. We're targeting every single travel company, travel startups, and the readers out there. We're locking in readers with a freemium model as a way to educate them and give them a reason to want to subscribe to our membership schemes. You might be thinking, why are we the perfect team for this? We are a team of overseas Pakistanis, millennials, and females. We have knowledge from both sides of the world, with our journalism career spanning over 5 years in the Western media. We understand the profitable publishing models, and we know it's a real fight to make Pakistan heard in the newsrooms. I promise you, Capra Falconeri Traveler will lead the way for Pakistan's travel industry on a global stage. We have the team, there is a solution, we have a beautiful product, and we have traction. So if you would like to take part in supporting us or connecting with us, in reinventing print in the digital age for the tourism destination Pakistan, then please do reach out to us while we're around. And I've got a few copies I'm giving out for free. If anyone's interested, please reach out to me. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Anna. So the people who are standing in the middle, if I can please request you to either sit down or move outside while you're talking. So if I can invite the next speaker, Tanveer Nandha. He is a very famous freelancer from Pakistan, has trained hundreds and maybe thousands of people to earn their own income. He has made a very long journey to come here all the way to Turkey, and it is our honor and pleasure to have him on our stage. Again, if the people who are standing in the middle, if I can please request you to either move outside or sit down. Sorry.
Thank you. For Prasad, I won't take more than 3 minutes, inshallah. Actually, I'm not going to pitch anything. I just want to share with you my short journey, very short words. We have talked all about startups and businesses. I was studying yesterday that 80% of the startups in Pakistan fail in first year of operations. So it was shocking for me. We have studied that around 90% startups in the world fail, in 5 years of their operation. So identifying the reasons and sharing with you all, because you are all, most of you or the CEOs and running companies and different startups and different like selling their products. What the problem I found was we lack in marketing. Like I read somewhere that the successful businesses are ready to spend around 60% on the marketing and 40% on the product and all of the operational side. So what I want to share with you that digital marketing is the real thing, and we should learn that because the other aspect is because if we will not have knowledge about digital marketing, then we cannot get maximum out of it. Like if we outsource this work, the other person is doing what he knows, what he has learned over the past few years, and we won't be able to measure results. So I would ask all of you to learn digital marketing yourself, and then go to hire other people. What we are doing, I've been doing digital marketing from past around 15 years, from 2006. I've trained around 5,000 plus students, and they have made around more than 30 million US dollars, and that's the direct, like, measurable statistics. And the interesting part is they have spent the minimum, the least investment can be spent in any, possible business. A shopkeeper would have invested more than those who have earned a lot of dollars sitting at their homes. So I would like to invite you all who are looking for digital marketing services. Don't hire me. I already said that I'm not able to teach anything. You should join our iSkills group and hire those people who have just learned their skills and now looking for work, looking for jobs. And let me assure you one thing, you will find them highly professional, even more professional than like many countries, like Western countries. So that's all for now. Thank you. Arzish.
Yeah, so this special shawl is my way of saying sorry, and also because it belongs to your area as well. Yeah, so now if we can have Abbas Salim Khan and Veena Shirar on stage. They have very, very short presentations, but you'll love the work they're doing. They're cutting edge and have joined us all the way from Islamabad.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? My name is Abbas and I am the CEO of Optera Digital. Just for context, before we start, this is basically who I am. I'm a 20-year veteran of games and animation. I worked in AR and VR. I've done everything from SpongeBob, Tomb Raider, Burka Avenger, produced quite a lot of work over the many years, mainly not because I'm exceptional, but because I worked hard and I just hung around for a long time. So the portfolio basically builds up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, we formed our company about 4 years ago, and this is what we had in terms of clientele and all of that. So I'm going to show you something over here. We recently partnered about 2 years ago with a Belgian company called Moderator. And the idea was to basically build an energy management platform at the front end to allow communities to basically build and share energy. This is similar to a product I helped build a long time ago on Sky Electric. We built the front end system, which allowed people to easily use the system. Now, once we did that, we built this. And we basically partnered with a company called Besics and Ileco to basically link both of them down. Now, I have a video game background, and I had some understanding of energy management. But the thing was, how do we couple the two? So I'm going to tell you guys something here. We took actual video game rendering technology, which is Unreal Engine, the stuff that you play your video games on your PlayStations and your Xbox in, entirely with an Azure backend and build an entire smart energy platform. Is there any way I can press play with a clicker? How do I do that? Okay, so what do I press? Oh, no, go back, please. Back. There's a video here. Okay, here's the video. There's no sound. Okay, it's running. It's like, now, as you're noticing that they're finding an anomaly in the building, and anybody with absolutely no understanding of how games or technology works can identify it, can see a complaint, and simply log into the system and correct the situation. This is basically a complete 360-degree smart building energy management system, and it's running on game technology. Your Unreal Engine that lets you play your video game, running on Azure for one of the largest construction companies in Europe. Essex is the company that built the Burj Khalifa. So it will tell you that they are using a software and a system that we designed for them in Pakistan, which is quite something. Now imagine not just that, but they're able to manage the entire energy using natural, renewable energy sources. There is no fossil energy inside of it. So this is absolutely one of the coolest things around. Now I'm going to show you some other things we've done over the years. We built probably the largest hologram of Qaeda in Pakistan, went to multiple cities as a part of a peace thing, and we brought back Qaeda back to life, and he gave speeches about peace and tolerance. This is 2018, and this is the most realistic 3D model of Qaeda ever made. Nowadays, everyone tries to make their own, and we tell them, no, ours is better, and it was better because the research, the depth, getting Qaeda's actions right. We even figured out how much he ate, just to understand that how his skin looked. I'm going to go over here. Then we built something in 2018 called C Factor. This is the largest online gamified improvement platform in the world. A lot of people in Pakistan have actually played this. And just to give you an idea of how good this is, 64% female participation. Normally, most women cannot go to any assessment center and apply for a job as a manual trainee. But because they had a home-based system, and we built it for this company in graduate the talent game, we had I think 40 or 50,000 people that participated, and 64% of them were women, and they all found jobs. I've actually met them in different companies over the years. And this is actually one of our most groundbreaking products. This is a gender parity analysis game, where in an office we can actually determine whether you're biased against having women in the workplace or not. And we built this for the UN. So here's something that I'm going to show you here is, you're noticing that we don't do products that are, or projects that are socially harmful. Optera is a social justice company. We believe in principles of social justice. We pick up no projects that do no harm. So over here, we built, this is for Imran Khan's social media. This is a video we made talking about ease of doing business in Pakistan. This is the Development Advocate Report, and this is Reality Girl, a comic book we made to talk about the sexual abuse of children at bus stops. A lot of things are not discussed in Pakistan. So we use technology, transformation to basically create discussion. Now what's going to happen is that nowadays we're focusing on Reality Girl as a gender-based, violence-based platform. And for that, we're going to switch slides, and Ina is going to take over.
Assalamualaikum. So my name is Bina Shiraz. I'm a transmedia designer, and I talk about I work on projects that highlight gender parity. And I work for these projects, I work for UNDP Expo 2020 Dubai, and World Bank and Oxfam.
So I am working on this project. Like it's a comic. It's online. Like it's on social media. It's like on Instagram. It's called Reality Girl. We made the part one, and I'm working on the second part. And it kind of talks about gender-based violence in all over the world. So we kind of talk about social justice, and this is what our social media page looks like, and we kind of talk about we kind of tell stories that women go through women that go through gender-based violence and all that. And I'm gonna play a video that kind of shows that.
Reality Girl isn't just another webcomic. It's a movement. It's a safe space for women to speak up about the horrors they face. For me, Reality Girl is my chance to help the women in Pakistan by educating them and supporting them.
Through Reality Girl, I want to tell people what women actually go through and things that is left under the path.
Reality Girl is personal to me because it informs women just like me of the status in society, not one that is personal.
As Xavier Reed puts it, the greatest service a woman can do for herself is knowing her worth.
How many more lives do we want to waste before speaking up? Every life lost is an indication of our failure as humans and as a society.
Okay, so what we're going to show you is what the Instagram page of Reality Girl looks like. Now, right now, we're not only working on an Instagram story, but we're also basically building a game around this so people can participate inside of it. The idea is that we allow women to tell us their real stories, and we convert this into the digital platform for discussion. Linked to it will be a game and a few other things. For example, we are working on a live action version of this as well. Now, what's happening is that we're using quotes here, we're using statistics. We are actually putting quotes from real women and saying, this is how I feel. And many issues are discussed, everything from digital leaks to honor killings, things like that sort of are never addressed or discussed in Pakistan. We have to discuss these things if we as a country are going to improve and become better. And each of them have a call to action that say, hey, this is where you can get help. This is how you want the feeling to be put in. And this entire team that built Reality Girl are all women. There are no men involved. The only man in this project is me because I pay for it. It's a self-financed project which allows the women at work to get together and build their own projects, tell stories, and empower other women in doing so. So for us, I'm all for it. Anyway, so all these stories are real. They have to be shown, they have to be discussed. And we actually have an I Am Reality Girl page, which you see over there. Go ahead and follow it and go support it and go understand the stories that are being told. There are no lies over here. It is simple truths. Thank you very much. My name is Abbas. Okay, thank you very much,
It is fun. Thank you so much. So if I can please have Harun bin Raja on the stage, the founding member of Fasma. It's the same mic if you can use. Okay.
Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm Harun Raja. Many of you might know me as the founder of Happy Cloud, but today I'm here to not talk about my business, but more about my passion. And urbanization has been a major cause for a lot of social issues over the years. In the age of industrialization, when we moved from the age of agriculture to the age of industry, it became essential for many professionals, many workers to move into large urban centers because that was pretty much the call of the age. But with the digital age, with the dawn of the digital age, urbanization is no longer an essential aspect of our lives. And several problems that we face as societies, as economies due to urbanization, be it pollution, be it reduced standard of living in harmony with nature as we would as smaller communities spread across the globe, and the population crisis. I mean, this planet, Earth, can probably support 70 billion people if resource allocation is done in an efficient manner, and urbanization often prevents that. Deurbanization is a solution to that, and this pandemic that we recently faced, it's been a curse for many of us, but under the guise of that curse, there has also been a blessing. The corporate sector, the old school businessmen, they realized that their staff, their workers can work remotely, and they can work remotely very efficiently, and the organizations can cut costs substantially by letting their workers work from home, work from a beach, work from a lakeside, work from a beautiful town in the mountains. So this blessing has allowed many of us to capitalize on this new trend. And as an example, I was living in Karachi, which is like a large metropolitan city of Pakistan, and it has all the problems that come with such a hugely populated city. And my wife was working in a corporate organization with it. She still does have that organization. Before the pandemic, there was no way she could have convinced her organization to let her move to another city where we have a better quality of life closer to nature. After this pandemic, her organization had no problem letting her do that. She works from her office around for a week in every month, and the rest of the time she is in Islamabad with me. And this has been possible due to this pandemic, but we can take it further. We can take it much further and establish small sort of villages, model villages across the country in different scenic locations. We can do that in Pakistan, we can do it in Turkey, because if you don't really need to live in the heart of a city in order to work, then you might as well live closer to nature, work while being more in harmony with nature. So that's something that's a bit of a passion of mine, and that's something that I'm working towards enabling everyone to do as part of Pakistan Freelancers Association, of which I'm one of the co-founders. Our agenda is to work with the government, the regulators, financial institutions, industry, academia, and other stakeholders to facilitate our remote workforce into ease of doing business and providing them with a better quality of life while solving a lot of problems that we face due to urbanization. And I would like to thank Arzish for organizing this event, for being a partner of PAFLA, and I would also like to thank GS Bank and well, a lot of these organizations that have been a partner for this event. They are working with PAFLA to enable us, to empower us, to help us provide a better future to our remote workforce. Thank you very much. Take care.
If I can just invite these three people to thank them on stage due to the shortage of time. So Harun Dasani, Mushad Masood Qadi, Tawseef पे आ जाएगा, please stage पे आ जाएं.
Turkey के शहर इस्तांबुल में मुनक्किदा पाकिस्तान टेक्निकल समिट में 200 से ज्यादा पाकिस्तानी टेक प्रोफेशनल्स हिस्सा ले रहे हैं. इफ्तितामी शाम का अहवाल उस्मा अलकरीम बताएंगे.
इस मरतबा पाकिस्तान टेक समिट का इनेकाद इस्तांबुल में किया जा रहा है, जिसमें पूरी दुनिया से पाकिस्तानी IT माहिरीन शिरकत कर रहे हैं. इफ्तिताही तकरीर के मेहमान खुसूसी खैबर पख्तूनख्वा के IT मिनिस्टर आसिफ खान का कहना था कि पाकिस्तान और तुर्की को मुख्तलिफ शोबों में ताउन करना चाहिए.
So if I can now please invite everyone to like here for a group photo. Not on stage, we'll also come down. The stage पे सारे पूरे नहीं आएंगे. तो आप नीचे के खड़े हो, ऊपर जाके फोटो बनाएं. That's really सारा. बस ऐसे ही है यहाँ का. बस ठीक है, ज़्यादा आगे नहीं. नहीं ऐसे ही खड़ा हो. Photographer इधर आ जाए ना stage पे. तो आप सारे भी नहीं. So you need to face me. हाँ, you need to face me. Yeah, just like थोड़ा सा पीछे गया था सारे. आप इस तरह के अपने join करें please. और तो यार ये यहाँ पे ऊपर खड़े हो गए तो सारे आ रहे हैं. थोड़ा सा और सारे picture लें. वो भी ले लेना. ठीक है, reverse में भी. ऊपर खड़े हो गए. चेयर पे खड़ा हो. एक सेकंड फीमेल सारी प्लीज आगे आ जाए. Kindly all of you female आगे से. Can you guide request you can please come in the front.
यार सही वाला बात आपका ही आपका
फीमेल सारी आगे आ जाए. फीमेल कैंडिडेट सारी प्लीज आगे आ जाए.
आगे आ आगे कराची के स्टार्टअप करें
इधर का आगे बढ़े हैं बात
करती है
आगे आगे आगे इसको जगह दे इसको यार. ठीक है सारे आ रहे हैं. मैं चला सारे थोड़ा सा पीछे हो जाएं प्लीज. एक स्टेप सारे पीछे हो जाएं. सारे सारे एक स्टेप प्लीज पीछे. एक स्टेप ज्यादा पीछे.
हमने 3 स्टेप भी पीछे कर दिए. हाँ ठीक है काफी है.
किधर पिक्चर हो रही है? मैं आगे नहीं गई
यार आप ऊपर आ रहे हो.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. आप always रहना सारे speakers को कुछ गिफ्ट दें. अगर speakers please आ जाएं. और हाँ, so अगर speakers please आ जाएं उनको हम गिफ्ट देंगे. Meanwhile technical team मैच सेटअप करेगी.
स्पीकर बोल लगे
So all जिन्होंने भी गिफ्ट देने हैं जिन्होंने गिफ्ट लेना है इधर आ जाए. I will take that.
Every video with it can
Ladies and gentlemen, we can please leave. This side. Please line में आगे सारे आ जाएं. So this guy is really amazing. He's been an amazing part of this event, and without his support and obviously Dr. Waqar, ISU University. I will give this. Yeah. No. This like this.
Thank you.
Thank you. नाम बताइए. Gasanis, if you are here, you are still here. Thank you so much. Even Gaspi. Then the mother. Yeah.